Right, hello. Hopefully I'm live. So again, I'm streaming fairly early today. I'll probably do a second stream later this evening, but I am having to go out this evening. So that does mean that, I can't stream sort of about 5 p.m., 6 p.m. sort of time. I'm going to have to stream earlier than that. So yeah, today I'll probably stream about maybe 3 p.m. again. So it'll be a bit weird the times today, but that's because I got invited out for dinner with some mates. So obviously I didn't want to turn that down. So I might be back on in the evening. All right, Greyman, I might be back on in the evening to watch Weapon Collector's stream, but and chat with people there. Oh, the camera's fucking up again with the active track. Again, it's because it doesn't always like a gas mask. What if I just really zoom in on the gas mask? No, that likes to look in my chest more than my mask. Oh, maybe it's working now. So yeah, it doesn't need to be that zoomed in, but yeah. So regarding that, so what was I going to say? Yeah, so I might be on Weapon Collector's stream if he's on again tonight to have a chat with everybody, because that was really good yesterday. Joining Mike's stream again, because I actually got a YouTube notification and thought, oh, is Mike on? And again, that's the reason. Because for ages I couldn't view his streams because they were on days where I'd be working the next day and getting up really early. And then obviously after a while, it ended up being the case that I just completely forgot he was on. Now FM12s are pretty damn good, Greyman. Let me just flick this off and take this mask off a minute. Annoyingly, I don't know if I have an FM12 handy in this room to show you. But yeah, FM12s are really good. Bear in mind, you can still get brand new FM12s. Avon still makes them. But regarding FM12s, yeah, they're pretty damn good. Obviously, you still have to be careful because if you get an old one and it's damaged, then it's no good. But I think they had something like a 10 to 20 year shelf life. So most of the ones you get are probably still within their shelf life or just expired from it. But again, it's butyl rubber that doesn't really degrade. You can always replace valves in them if the valves are broken with just standard umbrella valves. So an FM12 is still pretty damn good. Yeah. What about the incident in Romania? I did do a short on it yesterday. So yeah, let me just have a quick look. Do I have an FM12 in this room or not? Because normally I thought I'd have a CT12 or an FM12 in this room. Obviously the problem is there's so much clutter behind me, as you know, that it's not necessarily obvious where it is if I do have it, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there is an FM12 in here somewhere, but I might do another Keir Starmer one later, but I don't know. But as I said, the problem is because I am going out tonight with my rent boys, I am not able to do one at the usual time. So we might have to fix the foundations another day. I don't know. I just genuinely don't know. It never came across my desk. Your camera went dark. It's still working for me on here. I can still see my camera. Can you not see the camera? It's showing up on my thing here. Yes. No, it was a tool maker. My father was a tool maker. Okay. Did you hear what I said, Greyman, about the mask? Yeah. Obviously, the thing is with masks is it depends if I'll zoom it out a little bit. I'll put another mask on in a minute as well. It does depend on whether, like I said, it's in good condition or not. Yeah, I did a video on it the other day. Like I said, Romania was attacked by Russia. Again, and whether or not it was deliberate or they were trying to bomb Ukrainian civilians in Lviv or somewhere, and then they went over the border and bombed Romania by accident, I don't know. But like I said, in my short I did on it the other day, my theory is that because Putin now is in such a sort of Hitler bunker mentality kind of thing, he wants to make the war bigger so he can justify a general mobilization. Whereas if he didn't do, because basically he knows he's dead if the war is lost. Again, I'd have thought if they actually tried to invade anywhere in NATO, they were going to try and steal a bit of the Baltics. But yeah, again, I think they do this, test what we will do in response. But like I said, I think it is really desperation now from Russia, because if you've been following the war for the last few months, Ukraine now has been consistently killing more Russians than the Russians can recruit per month. Ukrainian deep strikes are knocking out oil terminals, other important things. Ukraine has quite a lot of different distance drones, so they're using drones a bit like how they used HIMARS when they were first given HIMARS to like hit full, like rear bases, like rear ammo dumps and things like that. And they're blowing up loads of logistics lorries on various like roads going into Ukraine. So basically, they're doing a very good job of kind of depriving the Russians of supplies. And maybe Putin, yeah, again, that's the thing. I don't hate Russian people, but the regime in Russia definitely needs to change, and I'd like to see Putin on trial or hanging from a lamppost, because yeah, all the things they've done in Ukraine and other countries, and like I said, like the Bucha massacre where they, raped and murdered loads of people, and they've done, they torture people in occupied territories. They often kill prisoners of war. All the aggression against various countries. What I think needs to happen is basically Russia needs to lose. The Russian leadership need to all go on basically a sort of Nuremberg style trial, and then maybe Russia can get a leader that isn't shit and corrupt. I know that's quite a lot to ask from Russia, but yeah, the 3-day special military operation, or the 2-week operation, whatever it was meant to be, and it's now like the 4th or the 5th year of the war, whatever it is, because it started in February 2022. So because we're past February 2026, I guess we're into the 5th year. Well, again, I know what Russian bots are, when you get all the spam comments either from troll farms or where it's just automated replies where they say, no, you are lying, all this, Russia is peaceful. So you get all that sort of stuff. But I know Russia also has been doing things apparently where they are doing AI videos now, for example, to claim like they've taken over a town in Ukraine, even when they haven't. So again, but like I said, the problem is like I would like with most countries, I wish we could just get on with them. And like I said, I think it would be good for the Russians as well if, like I said, Putin's entire regime. I'm medically unfit to serve, and Azov is a very skilled bit of the Ukrainian military. So yeah, I doubt they'd have me. But like I said, I have done fundraising for Ukraine before, but I haven't done that in a while. But there are other channels that do really good fundraising campaigns for Ukraine. But like I said, regarding all that sort of stuff, I think what needs to happen. If you are, great for you. Good luck. Hope you stay safe and that. But like I was saying, with all these stuff with regarding Russia, is what I think needs to happen is the Putin regime needs to basically be killed or put on a Nuremberg style trial, and then maybe they can have a Western approved government. Again, I don't like meddling with other countries, but that's what actually worked really well in Japan and Germany post World War II, was to basically say, we're going to decide who you can and can't vote for. So, you can't vote for any fucking crazy lunatics again that will start more wars, and then you can get some funding to rebuild your country. Yeah, at various points, quite a lot of international armies have. So Mata has 2980 says, most foreigners are using NATO masks. If it makes you feel any better. I'm from Canada and I've supplied my unit of M15s as evil masks. Cool. Yeah, what Israeli M15s? Well, again, the numbers depend. I think like 300 to 500k is the low estimate from a lot of intelligence agencies now. Again, Ukraine probably claims something like 1.3 million, which is probably a bit high, but the numbers are insane. Like if you look at, so for example, amount of British soldiers killed in World War II, that was 383,600. So that was the British in World War II from 39 to 45. Let's do Americans in World War II. 416,800. So by most estimates now, Russia has lost more men than Britain and America, well, or America. Yeah, even more than Yugoslavia, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the GSR and the M50, but as I think the idea is that you can hot swap filters easily. But like I said, I prefer the C50 just because it's 40mm standard. Yeah, exactly. Drones have just become the thing, haven't they? Like FPV drones, grenade dropping drones, reconnaissance drones, various drones for different ranges of striking. Again, the theatre of war has really changed. But what's interesting, like you're saying, is a lot of Western armies were training the Ukrainians prior to. All right, Brent. Prior to this war, but now the Ukrainians are taking part with drone operators in war games with like NATO countries to teach them how like antiquated their stuff is. Because again, like in some of the simulated things, the Ukrainians just wipe the floor with other Western troops and the things because we're just not ready basically for all the FPV drone kind of spam and the grenade dropping drone spam. Yeah, I can put another gas mask on if you like. What one shall I do? I'm trying to think of one with a good voice. Like, let's do this one just because the shum is interesting. Yeah, and the thing is, if you're hit by a drone, the probability is you're dead, not wounded. Because in most wars, the interesting thing is the dead to wounded thing is about 1 dead to 3 wounded. Apparently, Russia is the inverse of that because of their shit medivac, or the fact they don't care about the lives of their soldiers. And again, if you get hit by an FPV drone and it's carrying... So where's my prop RPG-7? There it is. You get hit by something this big that a drone's carrying, either an RPG warhead or a slightly smaller warhead. Something like that hitting you is just going to fragment you. Again, there's videos, I'm obviously not allowed to link them on YouTube, but some of you might have seen them where you see Russian soldiers hit by a drone and about half of them is gone. Because obviously you get hit by something the size of an RPG-7's warhead, you are going to get blown to fucking pieces. So yeah, it's rather than, people getting hit by bullets where, every 1 in 4 people might die and the rest are wounded and medivacs, depending on, if it hits their vital organs or not. When a drone hits you, it basically, even if it hits you in the foot, it's taking your entire leg off. Yeah. And again, you still see videos of people dead with tourniquets all over their, like, blown off limbs. Because again, that's still not going to save you, is it? If, you're fragmented everywhere and whatever else. Right. Should we make the stream a bit lighter hearted? Because, as much as Ukraine is very interesting, and I wish the Ukrainians and everyone the best, it sometimes is a bit depressing for people if they come on these from a bit of relief from all that shit, only to keep hearing it. So, like I say, so the interesting thing is obviously with this PAPR system, this is a NATO hose. However, if I only very loosely screw it into a GOST mask, I'll just try to get the angle as good as possible first. There we go. So I don't want to force that in because obviously that's GOST threaded, this is NATO threaded, and I don't want to damage either thing. But because this is positive air pressure, this will actually make an airtight seal. Because it's obviously positive pressure, not negative pressure. I'll look at your comments in 1 second, sorry. Yeah, and no leakage there. Yeah, but the camera's fucked up. Yeah, I'll take that off again. We'll put more masks on in a bit. But again, the problem is, unless I get my C50, I can't read the comments with a mask on because my eyesight's too shit. But my C50, because I've got like those rigged spectacle things, again, not a proper one, but like home rigged spectacle inserts, so I can at least with the C50, see out of it properly. No, there's not a cameraman. I'm on a a DJI Osmo Pocket, and with those they do a tracking thing, right? So let's see if I can set it to the mask. So let's say, can I track it to the mask? Yeah. So you can just set up, again, it sometimes doesn't work brilliantly. Apparently the tracking, I think Hype was saying, is better on the Pocket 4s. But yeah, in theory, it will track something you show on screen. You just double click essentially what you want to track. So again, that can be good, can be bad, depending on how well it works. But again, banana oil butter, it's because it's a proper thing. So its actual chemical name is isomyl acetate. If that focuses, there we go. Again, this is like one designed for people to use as an air freshener or something, but it was a cheaper way of buying it in big bulk than like the food companies. Because again, I'm not going to be putting it food, so it doesn't matter if, you know. But yeah, so 3M, for example, do various test kits. And the sweet one is isomyl acetate, and there's a bitters one that's used as well. That's, you know, like a sour kind of nasty taste one. And the idea is that basically to test somebody's got a good seal with a mask, they're meant to use the bitters and the sweet one to see if, you know, they have a reaction to it or they can smell it. But like I said, the reason I prefer using this stuff, smelling salts, is because the reaction isn't pleasant. Yeah, I need to actually get some more smelling salts at some point. These are getting a bit dried out, I think. But smelling salts, because they cause a physical reaction, you can't not smell it if there's a problem, if that makes sense. So smelling salts I prefer because, like I've said before, my dad has almost completely lost his sense of taste and smell. So if I do a fit test with him with a mask, if I use isomyl acetate, it's pointless because he won't be able to smell it. If I do smelling salts, he'll start coughing because, you know, it will still get down you regardless of so yeah, so that's why I prefer using smelling salts, because you always react to it if like you get a whiff of it, whereas something like banana oil, because it's, you know, just essentially like a sweet smelling kind of tasting, again, it's what they put in like pear drop sort of candies. Yeah, it's because at the time that was the coolest thing I could get. Like I said, smelling salts I prefer, as I said, just because smelling salts with those, if there's a reaction, you will know about it, you know, if there's a leak in your mask. But like I said, with some of the things, it really, really does depend on, again, that's why I like doing the air freshener things in the bathroom as well before. Because if you really fill a room up with air fresheners to the point it's hard to breathe normally, you know, and you'd really get, you know, especially the really strong smelling, horrible air fresheners that like really nasty perfume smells. Yeah, you spray the room full of that, so it's like a little gas chamber essentially. And then, yeah, if you have the mask on for a minute or 2 minutes or so, you'll know within a couple of minutes if it's seeping through because you'll start smelling and tasting it. Well, the Shahed drones, they're the Iranian ones where so it depends on Bateman's, depends on the chemical weapon. Like phosphogene's meant to smell like hay, for example, or like mown grass. I think nerve agents, or at least the German nerve agents like Tabun and Sarin, are meant to have like a sweet taste. I don't have any World War One gas masks. The only World War One mask I've got is a replica of the PH gas hood somewhere that somebody keeps asking if they can buy it. And I said, if I find it again. So yeah, the Shahed and Garans, they're the little lawnmower drones. Again, the US has done a copy of those now as well. But yeah, they're the very cheap, like, you know, drones that kind of look like a V shape with the propeller on the back. You know, that make the lawnmower sound. People call them lawnmower drones. So again, I'm not sure how big the warhead is. It's like 30 to 50 kg. I'm gonna have to look up actually. Shahed, and they have a jet version now, don't they? The Shahed 136 warhead size or weight. Up to 90 kg on some of them on the shorter range ones, 40 to 50 kg on the typical ones. Again, they have like a jet version of Shahed one as well now. Was it the jet version that hit Romania, I think, the other day, rather than the propeller version, I think, because the propeller ones are obviously easier to shoot down because they move slower. So, you know, self-propelled anti-aircraft guns and people like 50 cows and things like that, if they see them, can just spray at them. There's some quite interesting videos as well where Ukrainians are shooting them down using old propeller planes or helicopters because they can basically match the speed of a drone with that and shoot it down easily, a bit like the British pilots used to shoot down the V1 rockets, you know, the V1 missiles in World War II. Or you could wingtip them as well, where what they do is they'd fly a Spitfire or Hurricane or whatever next to the V1, get really close to it and kind of slightly bump it, you know, not to the degree you'd really damage a plane, and then it would break the gyroscope in it and it would crash. I mean, that's great because obviously it's made me money, but that's one of the ones where a lot of people find the channel through that. But again, that was where somebody else helped me film it. So it's quite hard for me to do a video like that on my own. So I had a friend, you know, with quite a good camera doing it, a better camera than I had at the time. And, you know, we did multiple takes if stuff looked bad or whatever. And then I had to do a narration, which I'm not very good at doing. I prefer just talking live to a camera rather than trying to read a kind of script thing I've written. But yeah, so I'm just gonna have some water. Sorry, my throat's a bit dry. Again, the pollen levels are really high today, like really, really nasty. My eyes are itchy, my throat's sore. And again, I know if I'm wearing a gas mask, that kind of helps, but not if I've already got some pollen down me. Oh well, yeah. In Modern Warfare 2, the Russians invade mainland America, like a Red Dawn type thing, where they take over Burger Town. And in reality, we've seen that the fact Russia can't invade its poorer next door neighbor efficiently, they had no hope of doing like a combined land and naval sort of attack on the US and taking the fucking US by surprise. You know, the most powerful army and air force in the world, and naval air force. Oh, most powerful navy. Although, again, the Chinese are actually maybe going to overtake the US Navy quite soon. Because, again, China is really, really militarizing up now. And some of the Chinese gear is quite good. So, again, I really hope that there's not a war with China over Taiwan or whatever else. Because, you know, like I said, I'd rather not be at war with countries. You know, I'd rather we all get along. But, like I said, the Chinese are very, very capable now. And like I said, because I still get stupid boomers in the comments where you get like some Chinese gear and you test it out, like the masks or night vision, and you think, oh yeah, it's pretty good. And you get the boomers go like, no, sonny, that's Chinese crap. It's not good as us American stuff. It's like, no, the Chinese are getting on parity with a lot of equipment now. Well, Taiwan, I don't think they'll actually have to, Guna, because from what I understand, Taiwan has a bit of a shit government at the moment, at least when I've talked to Chinese people about it with various opinions, you know, both Taiwanese and mainland Chinese. The opinion seems to be that basically because so you know, like Keir Starmer's fucking this country up, because that's going on sort of in Taiwan with the Taiwanese government. A lot of Taiwanese are saying maybe we should just rejoin China and we'd be better off. So I think Xi, as long as he doesn't, you know, like obviously he could invade, but I think really they're probably just going to play the game of try and keep making the standard of living better in China. Hope the standard of living gets worse in Chinese because, you know, apparently their current government's kind of like very much a kind of sellout government, you know, that sold loads of shit to America and is a bit corrupt or whatever. So I'm not saying that like, you know, the mainland Chinese aren't corrupt or whatever. I'm just sort of saying that the perception seems to be that because lots of people in Taiwan are getting fed up with their government, more people are saying, oh, maybe it wouldn't be that bad to rejoin China. Well, Brent, they can come over. I mean, sure, the stormtroopers will be coming over because, like I said, I keep making fun of Kia on my streams and his rent boys and right-wing thuggery. So, yeah. I am a member of the Free Speech Union. I specifically joined that because of the fact that, you know, you're not allowed to say certain things in this country anymore. And I thought I'd rather have a thing where, you know, I can get legal aid if I get in trouble for my opinions. Let me look up which one it is, Hazmat. Brexit bigoted voters, right-wing folks. Right, 3M FR57. Let me look them up. Because, again, lots of filters and things like that I don't know without looking them up. Oh, is that very similar to this one? Like, probably not exactly the same, is it? Because is that particular 3M one a like multi one? Because this one is technically only organic vapor and a couple of other things. It's got the same sort of outer plastic shell. Yeah, does it specify what that one filters against? Oh, I'm just looking up 3M of a PDF on it. Ammonia, organic vapors, chlorine. Yeah, so it's basically an ABEC filter, isn't it? Hydrogen chloride, sulfur. Yeah, so it's an ABEC filter. They'd probably be quite good. These are quite good, even though they're just mostly particulates and organic, this type. So basically, it's the exact same external filter build, isn't it? Like the same plastic-looking sort of shell, but with yeah, more of an ABEC filter inside. Yeah, they'd probably be really good then. Like I said, I have no issues with these sort of filters. They're pretty good. Right, sorry, let me open the comments again. I need to tab back to YouTube. There we go. Yeah, exactly, Gunnar. That's the problem, is that we're very, very reliant on Taiwan for chips, because like AMD has lots of stuff in Taiwan and lots of other stuff, and nearly all of our products come from China. Um, and again, that's why I'm really hoping that anything like this can be done peacefully, because, like I said, it's a bit like with the Falklands, right? It's like if the people on the Falklands decided they were really fed up with Britain eventually, and they actually wanted to peacefully be a part of Argentina, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it. But obviously, we don't like the fact that, like in the 80s when Argentina invaded, by force and tried to take it by force. And obviously, the people there didn't like that either. And that's why they still want to remain a part of Britain, even if maybe they'd want to be independent or whatever, because they want the security kind of guarantees. But again, like I said, that's the thing with real life, is quite often that over time, people think, yeah, this other option might be better. Yeah, so like I said, ABEX sort of ones are CBRN. But yeah, so it's a good filter by the sound of it. I don't have any of those, sadly. Well, when we're with rejoining the EU, that's if our dear leader decides it's a good idea to go against the will of the people. £2 for a single filter is very good. I'm assuming that's long since expired, but yeah, if you can get them £2 a piece, that's an amazing price. Yes. But yeah, with Brexit, so again, Brexit's one of those things, it could have gone well, but of course, because we've had so many incompetent governments, no matter what we seem to pick as an idea, the governments we have over here fuck it up. So yeah, the problem was with Brexit is when Brexit first happened, lots of EU people that were working in the UK left, and like employers had to offer better wages and everything. Employers had to be competitive again. And then Boris fucking Johnson says, all right, now we've got all of those, like EU sort of migrants out. Let's import loads of people from India and wherever else. And then obviously he did that because he was sucking off big business. And therefore, again, more competition for jobs, lower wage growth. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, Brent. Yeah. Yeah, again, like I was saying on the stream the other day, the crazy thing with the Falklands now is that Argentina, if they wanted to try and take it again, basically has no navy, and we've got like 5 working ships. So both countries are in a situation now where neither can do anything about the Falklands, really. I mean, the only thing with the Falklands is obviously Britain does keep a permanent, like, decent force on there now, like, with aircraft and whatever else. Whereas in 81 or whatever it was, 82, 83. Let me have a look when Falklands was. Falklands War. 82. In 82, Britain basically just had like 30 Marines or something, didn't they, on the island, something like that. The ones that were guarding the governor. That was it. Whereas now there's quite a lot of troops and aircraft specifically, so the initial invasion bit would be hard again. Yeah, again, like I said, the problem is with Brexit is both sides lied during it. Like people said about benefits to the EU that weren't there, that were pro-EU, and lots of people that are anti-EU claimed that, if you vote for Brexit, these things will suddenly get better. But like I said, the thing is with stuff like that causes all these sort of divisions in our country. Again, because I voted Leave, but in hindsight now, seeing how things are going, I'd have voted Remain. But again, like I said, part of the problem is that lots of people in the governments at the time and like the opposition sabotaged the vote on purpose. Well, not the vote, but the how they're going to implement stuff. And like I said, Boris Johnson really can't be forgiven for the Boris wave. Let's look at how many people he brought in. Boris wave immigration. I'm just going to see if I can get a summary of it because the Wikipedia page is not very good. Boris wave immigration, number of immigrants. 4.2 million people entered the country under Boris Johnson. So yeah, Boris basically invited in loads and loads of poor people from various countries around the world to come to Britain, because that way we can, for big business, fuck over the native people and bring down the prices of everything. Like in terms of companies don't need to be as competitive with wages and whatever else. So again, traitor to the fucking regular people in this country. Weird filter next to the FM12. Where are you looking? I don't even know there's an FM12 in the background. Where are you looking? Is there an FM12 visible in the background? Because we've got the MM1 there. Then we've got a Shun 41 there. Shun 2012 there. The Japanese mask there that I did the video on. Well, not the video, the post on the other day when I wiped out the wasp's nest. So under oh, it's this one, yeah. Like I said, yeah, I'll put this one on it. The Japanese one's quite good. It's just a shame it doesn't take 40mm filters. Yeah, pressurizing. See, like I said, this Japanese one's quite good. It's just Shigenmatsu or whatever they're called. Yeah, Hype sent it to me because I think he went on holiday to Japan, so he was able to pick some up because otherwise they're quite hard to get. Or it might have been that they exported some to mainland China. So like I said, the only annoying thing with these is obviously not actual, it's proprietary filters. So you have to buy their branded filters. So I've got the ABEC ones behind, and then there's a P3 filter that sits in front, like as a little kind of extra layer. So these are the combination ones. Yeah, it's quite a big diaphragm, because the XL valve, if I remember right, is just a little bit under here. Yeah, so the XL valve is just that thing there. Put that back on in a second. It's not snapped off, it just when it comes off. And then, there we go. Yeah, I don't know if it's easy to get that cover off, but yeah, the actual voice diaphragm is pretty damn big. Let me see if I can show you the voice diaphragm, if it comes off easily. But you can see the voice diaphragm from the inside there. It's quite a big voice diaphragm. If the thing focuses, yeah. So you've got quite a big voice diaphragm there. I'm sure I'll be able to get that cover off. Hang on. So let's first get that bit off, that bit. So I think that is just like one of those snap-on bits of plastic that, whatever you call it, just is held on by little clips. I ought to really keep a smudger tool, whatever they call them, spudger tool, whatever the name is, like those plastic prizing tools in here, where you don't want to damage something with a screwdriver, so you've got like a little plastic tool for it. But yeah, I won't take that off because I don't want to force anything. It might be slightly glued. But yeah, like I said, XL valve there, voice diaphragm there. Overall, like I said, very good mask. It's just a shame they don't do a 40mm variant. PMG1, keep getting asked that, and I keep giving you my opinion. I think it's a really cool looking mask. So don't get me wrong, it's really, really cool looking. The problem with it is, again, you can get them in the right sizes, but they're hard as surplus to get the right sizes. Because the PMG is this weird thing where, compared to other Soviet masks, it's way smaller. So, the size you might be in a GP5 or whatever else, you have to get a bigger size for the PMG one. And other than that, so ignore that fact. The thing I don't like on the PMG one, I do really like the face piece. I think it looks really cool. And obviously Half-Life 2, the mask that's like the Half-Life 2 Metro Cop mask. What I really don't like, though, about the PMG one is it has like a soft rubber filter screw in thread as opposed to a metal one. And because the PMG1's filter is bigger, say, than a GP5 filter, it pulls down on the mask like that. So that's the thing I don't like about it. So it's one of those masks where, like I said, the one I like more that's kind of similar looking is the Shums, the SHMS. Because with this one, obviously, similar face piece to the PMG, look quite the same. But you've got a good voice diaphragm, and because it's a metal thing at the bottom, it just simply, for me at least, this is a better, mask, because the weight of the filter there is as bad as like a mask doing that all the time. I think this has got a bit of sunburn on it now. Yeah, part of the, don't know if you can see that there, part of the rubber on this now, sadly, is starting to, you can see where it's starting to brown a bit. It doesn't matter, the rubber's still in good condition, but yeah, again, shame. But again, this is from 1978, so it's quite an old mask. Yeah, I always like the shims. It's creepy looking and you know, like I said, quite a well built mask. And put my glasses back on anyway, so I can read the chat properly. I've seen a channel, but I've never watched them. I don't know if it's a good channel or not, because like I said, I've never watched them. I've seen them now and again turn up in my recommended. But yeah, like I said, I've got a C50. You can't hear my voice in the shims. That's weird. You should be able to, because it's got a good voice diaphragm. So Foxy said, what's the difference between ABEC 1 and that? So if it's ABEC 1 and it's done like that, it means it is A1, B1, E1, K1. Because what they have to say is they either have to do the numbers individually, or if one's better, like they could say AB2, EK1, say. The higher the number, the better. It basically means it's a better filter. I haven't looked at the Hugo mask in ages. I don't even know where it's stored at the moment, in all honesty. I knew it used to be in a cupboard down the other end of the house, but when we had to clear that cupboard out to like store other stuff in it, I think the Hugo ended up in a crate somewhere. So I haven't seen it in ages. It's this PAP art, so I can't easily show it you because I've got it attached to my desk. So it's a West German one, or modern German one. I'll get you the exact name of it. C0467. So basically, it's got a rubber hose. This is just a cover for the hose that is just, you know, like a 40mm rubber hose under it. And it's a single filter PAPR unit. And like I said, I've got it at the moment set up with a wall socket supply, you know, like an AC to DC variable voltage thing. But yeah, that's blowing air in my face. But yeah, it's quite nice, like having a fan on your face. But yeah, so it's one intended for wounded soldiers, but it works very well if you just want to use it as your own PAPR unit. Basically, I think it was designed to be an ambulance, is that if you had a soldier that was wounded, they could put like quite a loose fitting kind of hood over their head. And then, you know, like a bit like the wounded soldier mask that the Soviet Union had, but it's obviously designed to be positive pressure. So you flick that on, dial it up, and then, you know, the soldier, even if they're unconscious or whatever, it's doing most of the breathing for them. And you don't have to put a mask tight on their head if they've got like damage to their skull or whatever. Yeah, that's the ones we're on about, Budder. The Hugo M1s or is it M59, the other name for them? Yugoslav M59 gas mask, is it? M59? Yeah, M59. So known as the M1 or the M59. Yeah. Apparently it does depend on what factory made them and a lot of other things, but sometimes people who've bought loads of them say there's literally no rhyme and reason to how they mount, you know, or like just the rubber falls apart. Where, you know, you could have some from the same batch, if you like, and some seem to last ages and others seem to just completely come apart. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. If you can get, yeah, exactly. That is an amazing price. What country are you in hazmat suits? If you can find them that cheap, because in the UK I have never seen filters that cheap. Not even like really old expired Soviet filters. Because I know obviously in some countries the purchasing power is different. Korea, right? So yeah. But yeah, I'm still surprised. Obviously, South Korea is a rich country, so I guess you're not in North Korea, obviously, unless it's Kim talking to me on his own account. US Army surplus. Interesting, but yeah, like I was saying, that sort of surprises me that you know, you can get them at that good a price. But yeah, because I was for whatever reason expecting it to be, because like again in the UK, let me have a look for you, just for example, in the UK, if I go on eBay, what the cheapest possible filter I can find is. So I'll just put 40mm gas filter in, sort by price, low to high. So Why can't I sort from low to high on eBay anymore? But again, expired filters are about £8 to £10. Some Polish Army MS4 filters are £6.98. But yeah, most filters in the UK, even for long since expired, not very good ones, are like I said, quite still nearly £10. What is quite cool though is, again, I'm not going to buy them because again I do not have disposable income at the moment, and again I've got enough filters, I really don't need more. But a seller on UK eBay, just for anyone interested, has basically the Polish post-Cold War versions of the MS4 filters. So, you know, the ones built in like the 1990s for about £8 each. So I imagine those are completely asbestos free. I don't know for certain, but they're probably a good way of buying Ghost filters if you just wanted one as a display piece. Yeah, probably hazmat suits. No, it's all right, because like I said, I'm not going to be buying any, even though that's quite good. But yeah, same, yeah, if you can get them at that price, I'd definitely pick some up at that price. I think Keir Starmer probably likes those masks where he puts it on his face and he puts a hose up another man's bum and then that man farts into it. GP5Ms, like all the Soviet masks, are going up in price because there's just a surplus finally starting to run low in the Ukraine war. But yeah, €25, I suppose, if it comes with a full kit, isn't a bad price. Again, I remember when you could get GP5s for like £10 to £20 for the various models with all the gear. But like I said, it's harder to get now, so that probably is a good price. I don't really know, Psychonaut. Most girls don't like guns full stop, or don't really have a strong feeling on them. It's one of those things that, you know, women just tend to be into, like having loads and loads of pairs of shoes. Again, that is a problem with women, is the amount of shoes they have. Like, again, for me, it's like I wouldn't mind a pair of trainers, a pair of smart shoes, and a good pair of boots. You know, maybe a couple of different types of boots if I want to go really crazy, like, you know, one set of like military, really hard wearing boots, one set of more like walking boots, you know, like the kind of more trainery boots. You know, and I used to obviously have a pair of work boots when I was doing my old job. But with women, it's like they have so many sets of heels, so many sets of trainers. It's just silly. No, there is no Mrs. Weapons and stuff, unfortunately. So Hazmat says, in Korea, M50s are sold for £150 for a full kit because they somehow earned the surplus mask from camp prison since they were in Korea. No, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, again, with some of that stuff, you never know if it's kind of being sold a bit below board, do you? But yeah, not a bad price for an M50. I can't remember what I spent on my M50, but I then traded it with Stug, who used to come on the channel a lot, for his PMV 57A night vision set. Like I said, I've got a C50 now, and I really like the C50, but the C50 I like more because it's actually 40mm. So while the M50 is cool, in the UK, you're never going to find spare filters for them. So Alicia says, as a girl in the stream, the guns are cool. Good. Sadly, I can't show them on here because, like I said, YouTube's policy is on a live stream, anything gun related is basically banned on a live stream now and get you a strike. You have to be even careful with like airsoft guns and like toy gun type things. Because like I said, down there, I've got that BM59 I did the video on. I think the short came on this morning, but I probably had hair on it because I filmed it a couple of days ago. Because like I said, what I've been doing is just lifting that and doing various exercises of that while I've just been sat at the PC. But yeah, again, it depends what your interests are, doesn't it? Because again, there's like some girls are into games, others aren't. I don't think so, user. I think even being in the background, they can cause a problem. I know Weapon Collector had his grenades. YouTube has no problem. That's again, it's a deact grenade. But YouTube has no problem with grenades. So even I could, if that was live, I could just do that and explode on stream. YouTube, for some reason, has no problem with grenades, even though they do with, you know. That sounds a very good price, in all honesty, for the M50, by the way. That's what I'm responding to. Yeah, but user, I'm not going to risk losing my channel over doing that. Again, let me get their exact policy up for it, and I'll read it out exactly as they say it. YouTube policy, but I know I had a stream taken down when the camera just panned onto a Diak gun for a few seconds on one stream. That was enough to get it taken down. And then they sent me a warning saying next time you do it, you get a strike. YouTube policy, firearms live stream. Firearms policy, right? I'm reading it from Google's official thing. Right, I need to find a bit where it specifically mentions about live streams. Yeah, so it says YouTube also doesn't allow live streams that show someone holding, handling, or transporting a firearm. But like I said, so yeah, technically, that's what their policy says. But I've got in trouble before for not even touching one on the stream. So, yeah, it's one of those things, like, it's a bit of a shit policy. You used to be allowed to just show stuff on stream, so I could pick up a gun and, like, say, all right, this is how you strip this bit off or whatever. But I'm assuming that they had some people either shoot other people or themselves on live streams, and now they've got, you know, they're really strict on it. And I think it's an AI thing as well. So, like, obviously, it's not like a person is watching your streams at all times and does it. I think it's just an AI algorithm sometimes spots a gun and goes crazy with it. I have an old Soviet bout, like one of the, you know, like Soviet buckle-up bouts that sits higher than your trousers, about there on your stomach, which you can attach like satchels to somewhere. I just got that on eBay, but I don't have any like Yugo webbing. Actually, the closest I've got to Yugo webbing, if like it's not caught under my chair. Hang on, it's a bit dirty. I need to. I think it got coffee on it at one point, and I forgot it got. Oh, it's caught on a fucking cable. Okay, can't show you this. That's annoying. What cable is it caught on? Oh wait, no, I can show it you because the cable it's caught on isn't plugged into anything. So I have the Yugo magazine pouch for their not MP40 thing, the M56, that takes what, like 4 pouches. That's quite cool because it's actual leather. But like I say, it's got a bit of rot on the leather, and I need to give that a clean because it's definitely like had coffee or other stuff, or just the leather aging. And the humidity really doesn't help in the UK, as I've said, with stuff rusting and whatever else. But yeah, that's the only like Yugo webbing stuff I've kind of got. And again, that's not really webbing; it's an ammo pouch. But like I said, I've also got like some Yugo gas mask satchels. But most expensive Soviet mask, probably like one of the rocket troop masks or something like that. If you're not on about like really rare prototypes that barely any existed of, therefore they have really high collector's value. Probably like one of the rocket trooper masks or whatever. PMK4 isn't Soviet. PMK4 is Russian Federation. I think only the PMK1 and the GP7 are Soviet Union. PMK4 is good, but it's Russian Federation, not Soviet. Yeah, like I just said, it's not Soviet. So yeah, with the Soviet ones, I imagine it will be something like either maybe like an IP4M rebreather, like I've got, but that's not really actually a gas mask; it's a rebreather. Or it will be a case of something like the PRVU, whatever it's called, like their you know, like that looks like a shums but is specifically for rocket troops, or it's like a stronger rubber or whatever, like with more sealed off valves. Because whenever I saw those for sale, because I wanted to get one at one point, they were like 200 plus pounds, even going back a few years ago. Again, it's one of those ones I bet if you knew somebody in Eastern Europe, you could get one for a good price, but they were absolutely scalped on the Western market. What model of PAPR? Hazmat suits. That's a good price if it's a good PAPR. Obviously, there are some PAPRs that are absolute shit. Oh, what is it, like a Korean equivalent of the US C420? Or very similar to the US C420? If so, that is a very good price. Bear in mind, in the UK, they're about £400 to £500 for an old C420. Oh, an industrial one. If it takes 2 filters and it's got a decent amount of airflow, that's still a very good price. because I think even if I go on AliExpress and look up a PAPR unit, you know, like buying from China, because I did do a review of a Chinese PAPR. So yeah, the Chinese PAPRs that take a single filter are about 60 to 80 pounds. And again, their airflow isn't great compared to the German one. They're not awful, but they're not brilliant either, if you get my drift. So yeah, that is a very good price. On about gas mask day, but you can bring up other stuff. Yes, do not pick up any perfume bottles and give them to your girlfriend. Yes, that's what happened in Salisbury. Yeah, cheers, Broly the Rager. Because like I said, for me, it's just, again, I need to put some more moisturizer on my scalp. But the thing is, when my hair grows, my eczema gets really bad, no matter what shampoo I use on my scalp. Because you see where it's quite red there. Like I said, eczema there and all that. So, okay, yeah, I would definitely go for it, personally, for that price. But yeah, but like I said, when I shave my hair, at least, I prefer it in hot weather because I don't get sweaty hair. You know, your heat leaves your body better, and yeah, you can obviously, like I said, I can put more like moisturizer or whatever on my scalp in a bit. What's a munchie box? Do you mean an MRE or is it something else? British munchie box. Let me look it up. Oh, I've had that sort of thing. I haven't had kebab ones before, but I've had ones with like various bits in them. At one point, even KFC and places used to do things like that, where you got like chips, popcorn, chicken, a couple of the other bits. But because of fucking inflation now, you never get things like that at a good price anymore. You know, where like you get a load of various meat bits and like chips and whatever mixed in for like £5 or less. That's non-existent now. Let's have a look. McDonald's UK prices, just so we can be angry at just how expensive even things like a cheeseburger are now. Menu. Right, so burgers. Right, McChicken sandwich, that's a pretty basic burger. Oh, of course, the McDonald's website doesn't have their prices. Let me search McDonald's UK prices and see if there's a third-party website that does it. So this site was last updated in May 2026. I think as well with McDonald's in the UK, if you go north, it is a bit cheaper than down here. Because I think, again, annoyingly, you have the thing where in certain parts of the UK, the prices are just more expensive. Because, you know, they get the impression that if slightly richer people live there, they can fuck you over. Also, if you use a McDonald's at, like, a service station, like, you know, a motorway service station, they're more expensive there as well because it's a captive audience thing. So, burgers. Double fillet of fish, £5.29. Mayo chicken, like the really cheap Savour one, is £1.39. Double quarter pounder with cheese, £6.60. Regular quarter pounder with cheese, £5.49. McChicken sandwich is £4.19 now, Christ. The very basic hamburger is £1.19. Cheeseburger is £1.39. I'll go on the Savers menu because that's where Saver menu. Double cheeseburger is £2.59 now. About 9 years ago, they were £1.50 each because I used to buy two and eat them prior to my shift in the warehouse. I'd go to the McDonald's if I got an early enough bus, buy two double cheeseburgers, eat them in the staff room before I started my shift, so I had loads of kind of energy and whatever for and calories in me for you know, an 8-hour shift or whatever. So they're over £1 more than they cost 9 years ago. And my wages haven't gone up. Well, even when I was in work, they hadn't gone up that much, you know, due to inflation. That's the problem. Yeah, when I did a grocery shop recently, I obviously bought quite a lot of stuff, and it was fairly cheap branded stuff. you know, so in its long life stuff. So it was like, you know, tinned meat kind of things and stuff like that. About £70 for one person's amount of food for about a month. 70 fucking pounds. It is just crazy now, like shrinkflation with, you know, what you have to spend in, like I said, and that's not like the expensive food brands. That's like supermarket own brand stuff. How much is double Big Mac? Sorry, I'll close the website. Let me get it back up. Double Big Mac. Okay, so burgers. Double Big Mac is £7.09. So what's that, like $9, $10? Who's in during breakfast? What Rowboat Gorilla Man? I've probably missed something. It doesn't make sense now. Stacks of cash for a cola. Oh yeah, like where like how much was fuel in pre-war Fallout? Like where it was like $100 a liter or gallon or whatever. Pre-war Fallout prices. Yeah, let's see if I can get up a chart. Coffee and Donut, Slocum's Joe, $30. Guns and Bullets magazine, $33. Boston Bugle newspaper, $56. Bowling at the General Atomics Galleria, $5,000 per game. Giddy Up Buttercup toy, $16,000. Chrysler's Converger car, $200,000 or in the multi-millions. Red Rocket coolant, $103.99 to $113.99. Yeah, so it's. Let's see if I can find pre-war Fallout prices fuel. Pre-war gasoline in the Fallout universe reached an astronomical $7,450.99 per gallon for regular and $8,599 for premium by 2077. Yeah, so we're like I said, we're just moving more and more into the Fallout universe, where Trump wants to invade Canada and like Greenland and everything. You know, the Chinese are the big threat, not the Russians. We're in like a doom spiral of economics and fuel wars. Yeah, how much kebab prices now? Because I don't normally eat kebab, but how much are kebabs in the UK or anywhere? But like I said, you don't get the munchy sort of boxes like you're on about, you know, anymore. Or if you do, they're very expensive, what they used to be. Yeah, when I was reading out any of those prices, that was the burger, not a meal price. I mean, Soylent Green, if it was free, I wouldn't mind eating people if it was cheap. Are people a good source of protein? Oh, we spoiled Soylent Green for anybody that hasn't seen it, even though everybody knows the Soylent Green is people, just like they know they blew it up at the end of that's an MM1, if you mean that one. That's a Soviet MM1 tank crewman's mask. And there's the weird on the skeleton, the weird like gimpy cold weather mask thing on that one. What I did like in Germany, though, when I was in Germany, Rowboat Gorilla Man, was that in Burger King I could order a fucking beer with my burger. I loved that. Because, again, like German culture is very different with beer. Like in the UK, we've got a bit prudish about it now, probably because certain people have come into the country that think alcohol is haram. But yeah, I don't know if they ever made a Soylent Cola. I know there was meant to be other colours of Soylent as well as Soylent Green, and I don't know if they were all people or it was only Soylent Green that was people. The Soylent Green was the most popular one. Again, I haven't watched that much Futurama. I watched a lot of The Simpsons, and again, I have seen some Futurama, but it's never a show. Maybe when I'm really bored, I ought to download a couple of series of Futurama and just binge watch it. I did a couple of bits. So I was doing like a Third Reich history tour thing. So we started. Let me get a map up of Germany, and I'll tell you where I went. Right. So we started off in Munich, so we drove from Belgium, so it was on like a coach tour type thing. We went from Belgium on the first day near the border. So we were in a hotel that night, and we went all the way down to Munich on the first day. So the first day was nearly all just on the coach. Then we had a couple of days in Munich seeing various things, like, you know, all of the stuff that was like the rise, you know, like all of, before the the putsch and all that sort of stuff with Adolf in Munich, and then a couple of the camps. Which was the camp near there? Was that Dachau, the one in Munich, if I remember? Then we did Nuremberg to see the Nuremberg trials and like the parade ground stuff. Then it was up to Berlin to see, you know, a load of the Fall of Berlin type stuff and all that. Then I think, like I said, after Berlin, it was again, there was a couple of like little places I think we were in for like a night or whatever, you know, in between places. And then we saw the tank museum at Munster before. I think the last night we were in Germany was in Hamburg, because there was a couple of days on the holiday that were outside of Germany, you know. And again, like we saw some war graves and things. And we also went to, even though it wasn't on a tour, because we had enough spare time and quite a few people had relatives involved with it, we went to trying to think of the name of it. Bautzen? Is it Bergen-Belsen? Because my dad's uncle, for example, was a military policeman that went into Bergen-Belsen when the Brits obviously found all the dead people there and like the SS and all that shit. So, you know, we said, you know, we wouldn't mind stopping there because of a family connection, and other people were interested in seeing Anne Frank's grave and all that, or the grave marker. I don't know if they actually knew where Anne Frank's body was. I don't know if she was just in the mass burial pit. But oh yeah, we did see Checkpoint Charlie, and there was some cunt who did a Nazi salute in front of it. Not something on our tour, but you know. But we did see Checkpoint Charlie and a bit of the Berlin Wall and various bits. Yeah. But yeah, Nuremberg is impressive. Again, I actually had seen Nuremberg for like a day prior to that holiday, where we were just in Nuremberg for a day going to the Czech bit. But yeah, so it was Dachau. But what I thought was really good in Germany, and I mean this in a really, really good way, is that all the kids are being shown around the concentration camps, so they actually learn about it and know it's real. Because again, like I said, it really pisses me off now that you get all the people that think all that stuff is fake. You know, even if you don't like Israel as a country or whatever, the fact that people think, oh, right, it was all made up. The Nazis didn't persecute everybody. They were probably like really badly treated by everybody else. Yet we were in the Netherlands very briefly, like saying we were in Bautzen. When we saw Bautzen, that's in the Netherlands. Yeah, it's a shame. Again, you'd hope people like that would grow out of it. Because again, I have a dark sense of humor, right? So I don't particularly mind jokes if people know that it's, you know, like they're doing it because it's a fucked up joke. Because again, I don't think like humor should be like banned or whatever. But yeah, like I said, the one that pissed me off more than like anything like that was recently when I went to the Imperial War Museum in London. They have one of the, I think it's the Right Chancellery's like looted, you know, like Nazi eagle thing. You know, there's the Mark Felton video on it that he did quite recently, but that one, and loads of people that were speaking foreign languages, and not German, obviously, but like various like Spanishy sounding languages, maybe like Latin Americans or whatever, were fucking like stroking the thing like it was some relevant, like not meant to touch it anyway, because obviously it's a historical artifact. But it's just weird to me that like Nazis are considered cool. Like I think their fashion was cool and everything, but you know, it's the fact that like people unironically now kind of like them. But yeah, sadly, I've not been to the Netherlands for a decent amount of time. Like I said, we were only there for like a day or two on the bit back from Germany, and then we went to Dunkirk to go back to Britain that way, rather than Dover, I think, because we could get a ferry earlier. But it was good to see Dunkirk, because obviously, even though the ferry port isn't right on where the main bit was, but obviously because that was where the British evacuation was from early in the war. Yeah, I mean, Argentina's obviously, you can understand with Argentina because obviously a lot of the Nazis fled there on the rat lines. But yeah, it is just weird to me that, because like I said, when my granddad was alive, he had the policy, because obviously he fought in the war, that like anybody that was properly involved in the Nazi regime was scum. But like any German born after the war or whatever, you know, it wasn't their fault at all, because it wasn't their generation that did it, and they shouldn't apologize for it. Yeah, again, Hugo Boss is cool. Like the Stowhelms are cool. I don't even know where the Stowhelm is behind me. I've moved it somewhere. But it's not that one, is it? No, that's just the Riot helmet. Oh, there goes the filter. But yeah, like I said, it's just one of those weird things. But you know, like I said, is that I do like, you know, obviously, like I said, the fact that obviously Germans learn about that bit of their history and like why it was bad. And obviously Germany is a really good ally to have now. And again, I like the fact that what is it that trying to think. Yeah, well, I've lost my train of thought. Sorry. I actually do only if they have the sniper plate on, because otherwise the little bits that stick out of the World War One Stowhound look goofy to me unless the sniper plate's on it. Otherwise, I like the M35 looking one the most. I actually like East German M56s, unironically, even though again lots of people think it's like the dickhead helmet kind of thing. But yeah, so anyway, regardless, what was I saying about whatever the subject was? I know we were on about Stowhams. I thought it was something before that. Oh, there's the Stowham. You can see it in the reflection. Yeah. So again, they are very fancy looking. Yeah, I do enjoy this Stowham. But and again, like there's a reason that this helmet design is kind of what everybody went to with like the Pascut style helmets, because again, it's very good head coverage and like vision kind of thing. I know we were talking about McDonald's before that, but we were talking about Germany. There's something interesting to do with Germany. Yeah, again, it's and again, but it's not just the Holocaust; it's also all the other groups that were persecuted. And again, like the actual German, like because again, you had like all of the people executed. Because we did see when we were near Berlin, that place where they executed loads of Germans that were like, you know, did very minor things. The Nazis didn't like, where they were guillotined, and then they had to pay to get the bodies back or whatever it was. The German families, where but yeah, because again, like any of the Germans that stood up to it were obviously killed by the regime or imprisoned and tortured and whatever. And again, like I said, Germany now obviously is a good ally, especially now that Germany is like spending more on the military. Because again, we need, you know, as many countries in Europe really being ready in case the Russians do fucking try something stupid. And again, Britain's army's in a shit state now. But I am glad that, you know, Germany is kind of finally getting over the guilt of like, you know, you do need to have a good army. And, you know, most of us, even the Eastern Europeans, want you to have a good army now. Because, again, like that was, like I said, and the good thing is, like, obviously the Marshall Plan worked really well after the war, of at least, you know, not having the problem like the stupid decisions after World War One, where Germany was unfairly punished for it. And then you had all the resentment that led to people like Hitler coming to power. That's good, Rowboat Grillerman. Like I said, it's just one of those things, isn't it? But again, like I said, I think education is the best way of it. But I think, like I said, I think if you physically go around a camp, you get an idea of how big the scale of this shit was. Because that's what surprised me when I was in Dachau, was because obviously I've been to Auschwitz before that and things like that. But it's when you go to somewhere like Dachau and you think just how many barracks blocks they had for one concentration camp because of how many people they were locking up, you know, for wrong think and whatever else. I like the mud looking paint one, yeah, that they did. Again, I like lots of camouflages, but yeah, like they almost one of those German World War One camos they used to put on their helmet remind me of fucking tortoise shells for some reason, like how they have the kind of like green and brown, like chunky one. If you're on about that one, but yeah, like I said, World War II is one of those things you'd hope we never have anything as bad as that again. But sadly, I think the way humans are, we will. And like I said, the thing that worries me a lot about the current stuff that's going on in a lot of our countries is that because the economy is getting so shit and, you know, lots of people aren't being listened to by their government, everybody is getting more extreme, either left or right, in nearly every country. Because, like I said, just because of the fact that, you know, governments aren't doing what people want that is sensible. So people are getting more extreme, either left or right again. So it's almost like the 1920s coming about again. No, I don't think I have any Romanian gas masks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't have any Romanian gas masks at all. Yeah, I've currently got a DP5A for sale. My old DP5A is currently for sale on eBay because I need money and I'm trying to get rid of it, and it does work. The DP5V I've got, the one I really like is the IMD5. that, you know, is like the DP5, but it takes C-cell batteries and it's a bit better. Isn't that the Hungarian? Oh, sorry, I do have Romania masks. Yeah, I'm being stupid. Yeah, I've got the M74 and the M85. Yeah, I'm being an idiot. Sorry there. Yes, I've got those, but I don't have any of their like more Soviet-style masks. But yeah, no, sorry, I was just being a complete idiot there and having a brain fart. Yeah, I do have those. Because again, the weird thing with those is that I think somebody said that it was later on that they started putting NATO threads on them, but I did find it weird that, you know, like I have fairly old dated stamp masks, yet they've got a NATO thread on. Well, I assume that's because like at some point later on they just swapped out the valves, well, like the intake, you know, area. Yeah, again, they're the opposite of our greens then, Robo Gorillaman, because like I said, the greens in the UK are like all drugs should be legalized, which I don't think is a bad thing. Prostitution should be legalized, which again I think is good because it's safer for the women involved. You know, rather than it being a thing that just happens where it's done by pimps and whatever else. And that's all right. As I said, it's just a simple answer. But yeah, DP5 is pretty good. That's a Polish. It's not a DP66. I'm trying to remember the model of it there. But that's the vehicle-based one that's like a DP5. Because a DP66 is very similar to a DP5 in terms of ranges and all that. But yeah, like I said, but the Greens in the UK are like totally anti having any sort of weapons, you know, like they'd be completely against exporting them, but they don't even think we should have like an army or any deterrent of our own, because they seem to think, oh, if you ask people nicely, they'll never attack you. So yeah, our Greens are the complete opposite. Weirdly, like you said, that's again another thing where sadly I think Reform are probably Reform and Restore, I reckon, are probably anti like supplying countries like Ukraine with aid as well. A couple of what? Sorry, Prepper. If you made an old comment, I think YouTube hid it. But yeah, so like I said, the DP5A I did have up there is the one I've got listed for sale. I will link people to the eBay again. Sadly, if you're not in the UK, I'm not planning on sending them outside the UK. But I have got my eBay page bookmarked. 1 second. Well, it's technically my dad's eBay page, because what we do on eBay is my dad mostly sells CDs through eBay. Now and again, we sell other junk from our house. But there we go. They're the two items I've currently got for sale on my eBay, like my actual items. All right, Rajiv. These are the two things. Again, apparently my dad was saying now you can't just drop the prices on eBay, because I did want to maybe drop the price of the DP5 by about £20 and the gas mask by about £10. Again, if people are interested, I'll send you an offer because I can do that. I'll go to about maybe 140 now for the DP5A. If anybody wants to watch it and say they're interested in it, they're in the UK. I don't really want to bother with international postage. And I'll knock £25 maybe off the Pro Mask. Because again, I do want money and, you know, just to sell some stuff and start clearing up space. But the problem is, like I said, that at the moment, I think because everybody's short of money everywhere, like, you know, I want to sell stuff to get money, but people also don't want to spend money on stuff. So you're in that sort of shit situation. Because again, our economy's fucked up. The Russian number station UVB 76. I've only got one shortwave that would get to its frequency. You know, I know you can listen to it online, and then the aerial never really picks it up. Again, well, Robot, the thing is, if we could calculate shipping it to Germany, and obviously you're willing to pay the prices, I'm sure that maybe could be arranged. It's just the main thing with obviously selling stuff like that is I didn't want people from all over the world coming up with weird offers and then having more issues with, you know. But if you were interested in one of those, I'm sure we could maybe. Yeah, again, we have problems as well, like since Brexit, where there's loads more tax on stuff from Europe, potentially. It doesn't always seem to apply, but that's, again, one of the annoying things that, you know, where sometimes you could have bought stuff from bits of Europe and not. Because, again, it's like with Brexit, it's like because I think, to be honest, the EU matured a lot after the Ukraine war, because I think a lot of countries realised we should not be squabbling amongst ourselves. But like I said, I voted for Brexit. In hindsight, I wouldn't have. But, you know, that was a very toxic thing over here. because I think people had honest gripes on either side, but it became a very us versus them issue. Oh, cool. Good to know. Whereabouts in California are you? Are you safe from where that thing was in LA? Because I had some subscribers that were saying they were only a few miles from that Garden Grove chemical thing. Have they actually finally fixed that? Because I know they said the risk of explosion was gone a couple of days ago. Let me have a look at the Garden Grove chemical leak and see what the current status of it is. So on May 25th, authorities announced that the tank's excess pressure had been relieved and the contents were cooling after a crack was discovered in the tank wall. The evacuations were orders were finally fully lifted the following day after officials determined that no further threats to the public remained. So have they cleaned it up now or what? But yeah, that's good. It's obviously the least dangerous thing happened with it. Stockton, CA. Let me look at where that is up. Because again, I study of America. I know where some of the major cities is, and that's about it. Stockton City in California. That looks quite nice. So yeah, you're like northeast of San Francisco. Well, like east, sort of northeast of San Francisco. I need to look up whereabout it was they filmed The Fog when John Carpenter did that. Because that was in California, wasn't it? The Fog, John Carpenter filming location, because that's quite a nice place. So some of the bits were filmed around Los Angeles, but they're obviously probably buildings, not the coastal bit. Port Antonio, or is that the fake name in a place? Point Reyes Station in Marin County. So Marin County was where they filmed a load of it. Okay. Oh, it's apparently also the same place a lot of the bits of the birds was filmed. That's interesting. So yeah, some of the bits were filmed in actual LA just for interiors and things. But yeah, so so Point Reyes, Reyes. Headland in California. So yeah, whereabouts is that on the map of California? So northwest of San Francisco, southwest of Santa Rosa. Again, it's a very nice looking place. Anyway, sorry, I've missed a load of comments now. I was looking up The Fog. Brent said, I just bought a pocket knife from England. I paid $21 for shipping, but it's expensive every year. Yeah, also, I don't know what the tax is like on that, because when I bought stuff from the US before, sometimes I've got stuff and there's barely been any tax on it. Sometimes you pay 20 to 50% tax on it, depending on what the item is. Yeah, again, Washington State's when I hear people complain about a lot, but I think Washington looks beautiful, the state, up in the Northwest. Maine and Washington are two of my favorite states in terms of how they look and if I wanted to visit them. But yeah, but again, it might be just because they're quite lefty, politically. But again, I like the look of those kind of sort of foggy, cold, damp northern places. But again, that's because I'm English. It's makes you feel like you're at home. Let me look up an Arthur Wright. Maybe I ought to buy one at some point if Arthur Wright knives. Oh yeah, I've had those recommended to me before. So they are £44. Right. I will bookmark them, and then at some point, if I get spare money, when I'm working again, I'll probably get one, because I wouldn't mind a really nice pocket knife. Oh yeah, that would be really interesting. Is that the Nike the anti-aircraft nuclear missiles, or was the Nike the trying to remember the name of it? What was the name of the really early, before Trident and Polaris, the land-based nuclear deterrent? But was Nike the anti-air nuke? It is the anti-air, yeah, because it's the idea that you just shoot a nuke up and nuke aircraft. Yeah, Again, I fucking love the Cold War because of how making bigger and bigger booms. Yeah, again, there's so much stuff I'd like to see in America. I would really want to go to America because it's a country, you know, I really like. Again, I find America is kind of weird in terms of and again, I'm sure because of all America, like the mix of politics and you know, like some of the things. Like I said, I don't like the idea in America about like, you know, the private health stuff, but I do really want to go to America. But like I said, there's so many different places you could go in America and loads to see. But again, it's one of those things where if I'm working again, get loads of spare money, and maybe some friends wanted to go on vacation with me because I wouldn't really want to go on my own. And again, that's one of the places I don't think my family members have any interest in America because they think I'll get shot or whatever. Right, let me have a look. If there's any PBFs for sale, I'll let you know what the price is. PBF gas mask. There's only filters for sale for them. Oh, there's one PBF for £93 for just a bad-looking mask. So the only PBF on Etsy. Oh, somebody has literally fucked up an M65 and is charging €350 for it. Wow. What a shit offer. Yeah, somebody has a Draeger M65 that's just ripped apart, and they're selling it as a Halloween horror mask for €350. I'm going to link you guys to this if I can get the link to work. Not that I'm recommending anybody buy this, but wow, what a great thing. A fucked up gas mask for that price. No, I wasn't planning on going to Detroit or bits of Chicago, or is it bits of St. Louis, or St. Louis, wherever it is, that are pretty bad. I'm actually interested not really in the big cities, in all honesty. I'm much more interested in just some of the really cool places. How many UK viewers are on at the moment? Oh, and don't forget to like the stream, because I was going to say, if anybody's in the UK and they're interested in specific gas masks, let me know if it's one I have, and if I know where it is, I'm potentially up for listing it at a sensible price on eBay, and then I can tell people I've done it. Like I said, I'm not going to sell stuff like the C50 or any of the masks that, you know, like I traded specifically for. But if I've just got some quite generic masks people are interested in, you know, where I'm not going to charge like over €100 for a PBF, or I probably wouldn't sell my PBF in honesty, because that's one of the cheap filter masks I like getting out every now and then. But like I said, it's worth asking, because I'm not going to be rude to you. I might just politely say, no, I'm not interested in selling that one. But like I said, if there is stuff I've got that people are, especially just for UK people, so it's easy to do, you know, like recorded postage with it or whatever, insured postage. I don't mind, like, you know, people saying, are you interested in selling a particular mask or whatever. Sadly, like I said, with eBay or whatever, I can't sell Diak guns through there or knives or whatever. All right, bought a helmet as well, yeah. Yeah, like, see, this is a problem, because again, although I can in theory do postage and ship things overseas, then you have to know what all the laws are regarding the item going into that country, and also, you know, all the bollocks around, like I said, taxes that sometimes make it not worthwhile doing. Is it 50 states in America? So if you're from Indiana, I'm just saying, because I'm just trying to remember, because is it like late evening for you guys in America? Because yeah, or it's like probably like midnight, 1 a.m. sort of time, isn't it? Depending on what state you're in. Because yeah, I'm going to do a stream later today, but I won't be able to do one really in the evening. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is do a stream early on. Ideally, like these ones are probably good for people in Australia or whatever, and then a stream also like in the evening UK time, so it's better for people in the US or whatever. Oh, happy birthday to you then. Ah, yeah, so you're up late. 4:20. Yep. Smoke weed every day. But yeah, so Foxy has already said there's an M65 on OLX, Romanian eBay. It's like 150 RON, or I don't know how many euros, and 15 LEU Romanian M74 for Halloween. Again, if they're not damage masks, it's just I don't like the idea that somebody buys a mask, breaks it on purpose and is like, oh, this is a Halloween prop. All right, I'm glad you enjoy it. Like I said, the thing that's been annoying me recently is YouTube's not been sharing my stuff properly. Yeah, again, this is the problem. It's an addiction, Robo. It's one of those things where you never stop. But again, I've only been sensible recently because obviously I have to be very careful with my money while I'm not in a proper job. Yeah, I'm alive. Again, like I said, the annoying thing is YouTube's not recommending my stuff for ages. And what's annoying, like if I pull up my analytics right now, right? If I go to my most viewed content over the last 7 days, oh, it's a different thing on here than the phone. Hang on, I'll get up on my phone so I can prove it to people because I can then show the screen. I know it won't focus very well, but still. So let's get this up. So if I go to analytics, top content, and I set it to the last 7 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of my 10 top things over the last 7 days, last week, have been community posts. Not videos, not streams, not shorts. Literally, again, you're not really going to be able to see that on there. But like, you know, where I might put a picture up and say, I've got check out the video on this. Because at the moment, for whatever reason, YouTube is sharing people's posts more than their actual videos, which defeats the point of the platform, because it's meant to be a video website. Yeah, Eve, the thing is, I've added all notifications to loads of other people's channels, and I still often don't get their videos. This phone is, the bit on the back I've glued on, that wasn't really on it. It is an Armor 25T rugged phone. So it's one of those phones that's designed that you can, you know, like drop it and whatever. It's got a thermal built into the back of it. So again, it's like Cat do phones like this if you wanted like a more proper branded one. But this is like Ulefone. It's a Chinese brand, but it's quite good. So like I said, if I switch that to thermal and then do this, again, don't know how well that's going to show up on there. You can see my heat signature look with the different temperatures. Again, you can't see through my glasses because obviously thermal. But yeah. So that's like I said, that's it's got a thermal camera built in. So it's quite a low res one because obviously they have to make it a competitive price for a phone. And you can change obviously on this thing app the IR filters. So yeah, you can have it like, say for example, in the predatory looking one. Trying to get the angle right. There we go. Like I said, Grey Man, I'm starting to list things on eBay. Again, I'll link the eBay page again if you're interested. My dad sells CDs on eBay as well because he normally goes to a charity shop, buys some CDs he thinks might sound all right. If he really likes them, he keeps them. If not, he sells them for a couple of quid each. But yeah, if I link my dad's eBay page again, I just sell my stuff on there because I do have my own eBay for buying stuff, but it's easier just for us all to list stuff on one eBay for our house. So, like I said, I'll link you to it, but like I said, I'm trying not to sell items ridiculously cheaply. I'm not really making a profit on any of these I'm selling. I'm probably selling them less than I paid for. I'm just trying to sort the URL out. If this fits, there you go. If it doesn't fit, I'll try and see if I can shorten it. But like I said, at the moment, I've got a Geiger counter on there. If anybody, like I said, if anybody in the UK watches an item or however you show an interest in it, I'll send you a cheaper price for any of those. But like I said, the problem is I don't think now on eBay you can lower the price. Because like I said, I don't want to list too much stuff at once, but I do want to clear out a load of my stuff. So what I'll be doing is when something sells, and then I've got a space, you know, I can make space for something else to sell, I'll then list something else for sale. And HF says, I don't really have a big collection. I have a World War I US Army material coat and a British helmet, and I have a GP5 and Soviet PBF, so I was trying to make a big collection. Again, don't make too big a collection, take it from me. As fun as this stuff is, it will start taking over too much of your finances and like too much of the room in your house. Yeah, cheers. Save it under watches. And again, if you're interested in an item, do however you do the thing to watch an item or do it, and then I can send you a cheaper price. Because like I said, with the Geiger counter, I definitely just knocked £20 off the total price now. But my dad says he doesn't think you can do that anymore on eBay. But you can send offers if people watch your items or whatever it is. Or if somebody shows an interest, however you do that. So I think I've gone down to about £150 for the Geiger counter now, but nobody's still bought it. And like I said, I probably paid way more than that for it when I bought it, £200. And again, the M98 or the Pro Mask, whichever one it is, I'd probably knock that down maybe to £70. But the problem is, again, like I said, I probably paid 100 quid for it. Because again, when I had quite a lot of income coming in, I didn't mind splurging a load of money on masks like that. But now, like I said, where in a month or so I'll be properly looking for work again. But at the moment, I'm just trying to, get a bit on eBay while I've got other shit going on. The problem is, like I said, it's the annoying thing of YouTube is it's really inconsistent how much you make from YouTube. So some months I were like, oh, I could do this as a full-time thing. Other months I'm like, shit, I'm not making much at all on here. So Prepper says, hey brother, I did thanks to you help secure a Canada bulletproof vest retired police. It was due to your video. I think now they're extinct because you actually made a lot of Prepper security here, but back in 5 years ago. Yeah, cool. Like I said, in the UK as well, like I said, ex-police vests are one of the cheapest ways of getting body armor that's in fairly good condition. Because obviously you can buy body armor from companies that sell it brand new in your exact size, but then you're spending hundreds of pounds on it. Ex-police stuff in the UK is like £30 to £50 for the combination ballistic and stab vests. And again, I know as stuff like that gets older, it's less guaranteed to work. But again, the police have quite strict things over here where they have to retire it after like 5 years or something. When sometimes it's like almost not even been issued. I think sometimes you can buy stuff still in its like shrink wrap, where the police have had it in like an armory somewhere and never issued it out. I'm not on unemployment benefits at the moment. Like, I could sign up for them, but then I'd actively be pressured into looking for a job. And like I said, the problem is at the moment that I can't really start work till after a certain date because I've got shit going on, like, with my family and whatever. I don't know how good Job Seekers is now because I was only ever on Job Seekers when I started my first job and they didn't guarantee me a set amount of hours. So I was able to, like, top up my income with it. That was an allowed thing. But yeah, let me have a look. How much is Job Seekers allowance UK? You get up to £99.55 per week, so about £400 a month. That is actually pretty good. But again, we have the problem in the UK where some of these things are quite good that people try not to come off of them. Yeah, I've seen chainmail. Yeah, because sadly, if you get people with medieval ideologies that stab people, you have to go back medieval. But again, chainmail works well against knives. I have seen that, yeah, where they've got like normal armor on, then they've got chainmail over the top and a big stick for smacking somebody or like pinning them against the wall. Yeah. But yeah, so like obviously in the UK, there's a thing called universal credit. I don't know exactly how that works as well. What is universal credit? Universal credit is a means-tested social security payment in the UK for working age people. It's designed to help with living and housing costs if you're unemployed or on a low income or unable to work due to health condition or disability. But is universal credit then separate from personal independent payments, which are another thing? Let me ask, is PIP universal credit? No, personal independent payments is not included in universal credit. They are entirely separate. So the thing is, like, in theory in the UK, there are probably things I could sign up to for extra money. But the problem is, like I was saying, that I generally don't want to be taking money from like taxpayers for doing fuck all. Like I said, if I do get really desperate when I'm looking for work, if I can't find work, then I will go on to Job Seekers when I'm actively looking for a job. But like the UK stuff is weird. So like, even if I made £1 a month on YouTube, they wouldn't consider me neat, not in employment, education or training, even though we have got more and more neat people now. But like I said, I don't really want to be, getting money for nothing. I do actually want to be, because like I get a bit of disability because I've got colitis and stuff like that, which isn't really enough to cover any costs. But it does help towards like yearly prescription bills and stuff like that, and like fuel for hospital visits and stuff like that. But like I said, the thing is in the UK is that we have a problem where lots of people know how to, again, the people who generally need the benefit system, who are desperate, don't know how to use it. Lots of people who are like work shy, if you want to use that word, completely know how to scheme the system. So you have that, that's the problem we have, that, you know, people that are completely capable of work and don't want to work know exactly how to claim all the benefits on the system. People who are really hard up, that are, you know, like trying to work, can't earn enough from doing various jobs, are the people who get fucked over by that system, because again, it doesn't work properly. Even as somebody who thinks there should be social security and like safety nets for people, I don't think our current system works well. Yeah, equalizer. But the problem is, I know a load of disabled people that got fucked over, where, you know, like, because that's the problem with PIP, is that I don't know if it's improved under Labour, because in theory it should have done, but I know with the Tories, at one point, they were giving bonuses for the amount of people that they could strike off of PIP. So genuine disabled people getting fucked over. And then they're the people who are least able to fight back, in the sense of, you know, like, again, especially like the mentally disabled, people who are, you know, like handicapped, like, you know, properly retarded or whatever. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, you know, people with brain injuries or whatever. They're the people that are least likely to be able to then set, like, you know, appeal the system if they're struck off. I have no idea. I don't have an A12 medkit. The problem is that you can't legally buy them with all the contents in it, so I've never been interested in them. I like the look of the box, but yeah, I said, Brent, the problems we have in the UK is food prices keep going up, rent and housing prices keep going up, like electricity and all those prices keep going up, but wages aren't increasing with it. And lots of employers are doing the things that, if the government increases minimum wage, then they cut people's hours. Like I said, I really do think the UK economy is absolutely fucked. Like, I think it's going to keep getting worse until something, you know, probably quite nasty happens, unfortunately. But like I said, I do not think the UK, I think it's kind of, we're in a doom spiral now. And like I said, then the problem is, apparently a lot of people that, you know, are on some of the benefits, some of them are saying, I'm getting this much on benefits. If I started working, I'd be losing money, so I'm not going to come off. And I can completely understand why people do that. Again, our economy is fucked. And again, like Rayman, like I said, I'm going to find out soon how bad it is to try and get a job again when I need to start looking properly in about a month's time. Because like I said, once everything's out the way with that I've, you know, currently been, you know, had going on. Because like I said, first it was just, I was, you know, when I left my last job, I was going to see a couple of mates and I'll be back to work. Then obviously my granddad died. We sort of sorting everything out with the funeral. We're still sorting out stuff with like his estate and like house clearance on his house. So that's happened. And then like, yeah, and then there's been a couple of other things where, because I haven't been on holiday with my parents in absolutely ages, they said, you know, before you get a job, you know, please just let's have a family holiday again. So, you know, we're actually kind of doing something as a family. So I've got a family holiday coming up. And then one of my friends after that is visiting me and staying with me for a bit, because he's never stayed with me before. You know, I've stayed around his house before. You know, and once he's stayed with me and, you know, he's back to London to live, I'm properly looking for a job, because I also want to be doing something. I'm not saying exactly when I'm away for obvious reasons. I might have videos scheduled for when I'm away, but I don't like saying, because I've been doxxed, you know, I am away from these days, please come and rob my house, sort of thing. All right, so at the moment, I'm going to try Jack Yolita Prepper. So I'm going to try and basically do like this sort of time, relatively early each day, and late evening UK. So basically, tonight, though, I can't do late evening because I'm out with some friends for dinner, because I got invited by a friend to go and have, you know, like a meal with him and another mate at a pub near us. But most evenings, until I'm working again, you know, and I don't have an excuse not to be on here and actually, you know, trying to get a bit of extra income through YouTube, either through donations or just, you know, getting a bit of ad revenue through it. I'll probably be streaming like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. UK time, or maybe later. And again, you can always catch a stream even if you don't catch me on my first start, because sometimes I'll go on for a couple of hours. Like, how long have I been on this? How long have I been on for this stream? When did I start streaming today? Is it like 8 a.m. I started streaming? So I've been on like, what, an hour and a half at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to try and do morning in the UK and like evening in the UK, or like, you know, early afternoon in the UK, evening in the UK. So that way, at least, if I'm doing 2 streams a day, it works because I get people all around the world that watch the channel. The problem is if I only do 1 stream a day, I'm always going to fuck some people over with time zones. Right, I'm going to try and catch up the comments, sorry. I'm glad they are equalizers because, like I said, if people are genuinely disabled, it really does piss me off that, you know, like, because like I said, I've known people that have been quite reliant on PIP, like, you know, that would want to work if they could find a job that would work their disability, but that's quite hard for some people. And they're the sort of people that get fucked over, where you know that, like I said, that you know that there's people that know exactly what to say for these things. You know, like how those dodgy lawyers were telling a load of immigrants to say, oh, they're gay, so they'll kill me if I go back to my country. Therefore, I can't be deported. They were getting trained by like lawyers exactly what to say to cheat our benefit system. So anyway, HF says, I have ADHD, but in the United States, the medication insurance covers it. That's good. We basically get medication for free. Oh, yeah, you typed that twice, yeah. Again, like I said, I'm gonna, like, when it gets to next, like, when, you know, as soon as I start looking for a job, I'm open to quite a few different types of jobs. Again, I do want something ideally part-time so I can still do YouTube a lot. Because again, as long as I know I've got a secure amount of money coming in each month, you know, like I've got a set amount of hours per week or per month, that makes things a lot easier. Because like I said, the problem is with YouTube is that some months can be really good with YouTube, some months can be terrible. It's completely often dependent because obviously the ad revenue is like really good around December because of Christmas. So, you know, for the same amount of views, you get more money. But the problem is I find with YouTube is that because obviously now and again they recommend my videos to people, then sometimes even my subscribers don't get told I've done videos. You know, like some months I can make a living amount off of it. Other months it's nice as a side bonus, but it could never replace a job. And HF says, yeah, it's mostly stuffing in Iran. That's why all the prices have been going all over the UK and the United States, all over Europe. Yeah, and also supply chain problems. So like fuel, certain types of fuel now are really problematic because they came through the Strait of Hormuz. Certain medications as well now are running out in places. You know, like I said, we are not in a good situation. Like the war in Ukraine has been causing economic problems for ages. And like I said, Iran's making it worse. You know, and again, I imagine there's going to be more shit that happens that keeps fucking stuff over, or companies will use stuff like that as an excuse so they can say, oh yeah, the reason we have to put our prices up is because of this, even if it's not causing them at all. But you know, they know that they can fuck people over by doing it. Again, like I said, I can do stuff like that on YouTube, Grey Man, but like I said, as a job, it would be something like warehouse work, retail. Again, I kind of don't like doing retail because I hate having to deal with Karens, because, you know, for mental health reasons, I do not want to deal with Karens where you have to just accept them being cunts to you. You know, I'd like a job where if somebody's being a complete dick to you as a member of staff somewhere, you could say fuck off. But you can't do that in retail. You have to take abuse from people, which is why I hate retail. I like jobs personally where you only interact with decent co-workers. You don't have to interact with the general public, and you can just get on with the day and you know what you're doing every day. That's why I liked warehouse work when I did that, because it's just lifting boxes all day and then you get an exercise. Like I said, the problem with my last job was it was really good when I first started it, but when we got bought out by, you know, one company, then we got bought out by another company, things just got worse and worse. So they expected you to keep doing days that weren't originally days you were contracted for because, oh, you know, we're letting staff go, so now other people need to take the slack. And then we had more and more issues, you know, where management would basically constantly be on your backs about stuff. You know, and that's like I said, that's why I got to the point in my last job where I just couldn't cope with it anymore, because it was just getting to the stage where, you know, I felt like, you know, like I said, I felt like I have to be careful how I word this on YouTube because of YouTube's policies, but I felt like offing myself because of just how shit work was, you know, where you were just dreading going into work every day. And then, you know, quite often you'd be there and then something else would be brought up. Yeah, exactly. I have had good managers. Don't get me wrong, Equalizer. I have worked for some really good managers before. And guess what? The managers that were really nice and decent people were the ones that got the most out of their staff, because you didn't mind taking an extra shift if you felt like you were helping out somebody who was nice to you and they might return a favor. But when it's just bully the staff non-stop, you know, the beatings will continue until morale improves. It just makes the staff hate you. Yeah, apart from people who pay for it, the taxpayer, exactly. But yeah, like I said, so again, if it isn't too much to ask for anybody like who likes my channel on here, if you bookmark my channel's homepage and check it every day or two, that way if you don't get a notification, you'll know I've done a video. Because like I said, the problem is with YouTube that really annoys me is that people can be subscribed, they can tick the bell and still not be told I've done a video. And like, for example, last month, I was about a third of the views I was for the previous month. And that wasn't because I did less videos. It was because YouTube just wasn't sending them out to people. And again, I have the exact same problem with channels I watch. There's some channels where I watch nearly every video they upload, but sometimes YouTube doesn't put them in my feed, you know, or put them on the notification thing where I've ticked the bell and all that. And then, you know, I forget the channels exist if I haven't watched them for long enough, or I forget what days they upload or whatever. So like, again, yesterday I caught one of Weapon Collector's streams and it was really good because we had a really good chat on there. But again, the problem is that for ages, I think because I didn't watch his streams when I was doing my job, because he normally streams Friday and Saturday, like in the evening, and then I had to get up at, you know, early for work Saturday, Sunday in my last job, you know, I couldn't really stay up to watch them. What would end up happening is because I hadn't watched them for a while, YouTube just completely turned off all his notifications for me, even though I said, you know, even though I still had the bell ticked and that. So even when I was now, you know, able to watch streams Friday and Saturday nights, I forgot they were on. Anyway, anything else people want to bring up? Because we haven't really talked about gas masks in a while, but I don't mind chatting about whatever. But like I said, it's just nice having a chat with people on here. So yeah, if people think of a thing they want to bring it up, and we can have a chat about it, as long as it's not too divisive and whatever, or you know. But yeah, if people want to bring something up, bring it up, and we'll see what we can chat about. I'm just clicking a couple of things on here while I'm waiting for people to bring stuff up. I'm getting hungry now because I'm going out to have a meal tonight. I need to eat early today so I don't snack throughout the day and then have no room for a meal later. I'll have a look what's on the news for today. I haven't really looked at the news today. So stuff about Randy Andy as usual. The sweaty nonce. No deal announced after Trump meeting to make final determination on Iran. No deal. So great. That our prices aren't getting better anytime soon, are they? Arrived 3 hours before flight home. So, well, I'm not going on holiday. Well, they say I'm on holiday relatively soon, but that's just to a place in the UK. The thing about Starmer's dodgy mate, Lord Harmer, everybody calls him Lord Harmer. So do you sell poisons to people or something? Ukraine using AI drones to strike vital convoys supplying Russian troops. Again, that's kind of interesting, but like I said, I knew about that anyway because I follow the Ukraine stuff nearly daily. I'll have a look what's on the Telegraph as opposed to the BBC. Something about boarding schools. That doesn't affect me at all because I'm not a toff. I'm never going to go to a place for the boarding school. Stuff about football. I do not give a shit about football. Countryside LTNs quietly rolled out across England. Oh, great LTNs. Everybody hates LTNs. That's low traffic neighborhoods where they like block you from going down certain roads. So you have to take massive detours, which adds more pollution and more fuel costs. Again, it's like because when we had a green council in Oxford, they fucking did shitloads of LTNs. Because again, the Greens are morons. Even though, like I said, I think some of their policies are all right, but their actual eco policies are fucking stupid. Lack of sleep fueling cancer surgery under 50s. I get insomnia quite a lot. If I get bad, my sleep's actually been quite good though recently. Other than the nights, it's been really hot. But like I said, I've had quite a lot of nights recently where I've slept fine. Sometimes I do get bad insomnia. Sturgeon, I'm the victim of my husband's fraud. No, Cranky, you're not. Don't you claim just because he had separate bank accounts, you didn't suddenly notice all his new watches and caravans and whatever else. Wah, wah. I'm seeing if there's any comments on this where people say she's full of shit. Lefties always played a victim. She knew what she was doing and should be prosecuted for it, scumbag. I me wee man here is the man with the money. Show us your wares. It beats me how she can keep a straight face. Well, she is a politician. It's what she does for a living. I could accept that she didn't really know about the rather expensive knickknacks turning up, but she must have noticed the Jag and motorhome. It's hard to understand why Murrell felt the need to buy all this stuff and why he didn't think he would eventually be found out. The bloke is clearly mad. I just hope that Alex Salmond is up there somewhere having a laugh. Yeah, I kind of liked Alex Salmond. Like I said, I think we're stronger together in the UK without coming apart. You know, like the Scottish NSNP, Scottish National. But at least Salmond believed in it. Like I said, I think people like cranky fucking Nicola Sturgeon were literally just in it for the grift. Of course, I always root for England, Brent, in the cup and things like that. Don't get me wrong. It's just I'm not really interested in watching football. I don't give a shit about like Man U versus Arsenal or whatever like that. My dad watches a lot of football. My granddad used to watch a lot of football. It just does not interest me. Like I said, if football was more of a grassroots thing, where it was more about the people for each like team were like, you know, local people, and it wasn't such a big money business, I might find it interesting. But it's a bit like the NFL in America. It's just I find it like, you know, where it's such big money involved. I just don't like it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I prefer sports when it's much more of local people competing for having fun. Cheap. Oh, can I give you a link, an affiliate link to one of these? So this is a Chinese TF1. It's very similar to a GP5, but it takes NATO filters, this particular model. I can give you an AliExpress link if you want to get one, where I'll get like 5 cents if you buy it. There are other good Chinese masks. The only problem is if you're in America, because apparently then Chinese import fees are so high because of Trump's tariffs. There's no point shopping Chinese, which is a shame because. But if you want something that's slightly better than that, that's Chinese, there are things like the MF14. Hang on. So again, these MF14s, if you get the more modern ones, are NATO threaded. Let's just get that in there. Again, with this thing, it's not because it's not NATO threaded, it's because these fucking... I'll just put a 3 amp filter on it, fuck it. MF14s are all right. They're not brilliant, but they're panoramic. They've got, I think they've got a voice diaphragm in these. Yeah, they do. They've got a voice diaphragm in these. They're panoramic. It's got a little neck strap thing for it. 5-point head harness. Let's get the straps correct. Oh, the camera's wanting to leave my face again. Right, that's our tight. Let's just give it a test, because it should be NATO covered. Yeah, that's working fine. So yeah, MF14s, if you want something that isn't very expensive but is a bit better than, say, a GP5 or whatever, they're not too bad. I think they're like $20 maybe. Right, sorry, let me put my glasses on so I can read your comments better. The Metro 2023 gas mask, that is more like a PPM GP9, PPM 88 or whatever it is, isn't it? I've got one of the more modern ones here that takes a NATO filter. Only problem with this is one of the straps is fucked on it now. So, because it turns out like their roller things for the straps are a bit flimsy, so one of them snapped off. So I've had to do that with the strap to keep that strap actually on. That means you can't really adjust it when you've got the mask on. But again, they're pretty hard to get because of, you know, getting stuff from Russia now is a bit difficult. Again, gas masks don't... Okay, so house fires, they're better than nothing for a house fire. But obviously, bear in mind, a gas mask cannot provide you with oxygen or air. It only filters the air. So if you're in an environment where the air is like getting depleted because it's fueling a fire, you will still suffocate. But if you're evacuating a burning building, you're obviously going to get a lot less that dangerous shit in your lungs, like smoke or whatever. The filters will stop some of the smoke, but they won't stop carbon monoxide, for example, carbon dioxide, or lack of air. I don't know if I want to purchase his knife. I wouldn't mind it for free, but like I said, I can't really afford shit like that now. The Rainbowy. Yeah, it's great, the Rainbowy. Right, what time is it right now? It is 10 to 10, as in 0950, 9:50 a.m. In 10 minutes, it will be 10 a.m. Yeah, what I want to do, I have to see if I can do it with Linux, is I want to put a global clock on my desktop so I know what time it is for like other people when I start streaming. Linux Mint World Clock app or something like that. For a desktop world clock in Linux Mint, the best option are the native world clock calendar applet for the panel or the graphical GNOME clocks app for a dedicated window. So world clock calendar applet, is that installed by default or do I have to? Right. Okay, so what I have to do is, right, is it applets or desklets? Because they're called desklets here. Go to download. Right. Okay, so I want to go to download and then I want to search for world clock. Nothing coming up. Great. What's timelet? A themable desklet that shows the time. Let's install that one and see if it shows me other things. Okay, that's really big. Can I shrink that down? But again, that's not showing me other times, is it? It's just showing me, yeah, it's a bit too big for my liking. Oh, configure. I can configure it. Okay. Theme. Scale. All right, cool. I can make that smaller. All right, now I've made that smaller. That's not too bad. But I don't think I can have other things on that. So if I put that there, can I configure? Sorry, I'm just playing about with my Linux thing. Date and time settings. Oh, okay. As long as this doesn't fuck up my normal time, can I just add multiple ones of these for different things? So if I put now Australia, Sydney, for example, now that's got that at 1853, but it doesn't tell me where that is, which is annoying. I was hoping it would actually put the name of the place on it, but it doesn't. Sorry, I will go back to the thing in a second. I'm just configuring this when I do future streams, so I know exactly when it is in other time zones. No, let's delete that now. Or is it customized? Oh, it's customized. No, that's customizing my usual desk, so I don't do that. There's date and time settings, wasn't it? Not on. No, I'll delete that one. So, right, I'll go back to our conversation. Sorry, I'll figure this out once I'm done streaming. Where can you get modern GOS filters? Chinese ones, but I'm not sure exactly which Chinese filters are GOS and which are NATO anymore, because China's doing more and more 40mm NATO stuff now. Russia, I think in Czechia or the Czech Republic, the company still does GOS filters. But yeah, there's not that many options left for GOS filters because, again, most countries don't use them. In theory, yeah, but obviously bear in mind that some diving equipment type stuff can explode, so that's from air tanks. In theory, a rebreather works fine for a house fire. I was sent it by Hype, so again, I don't know. I don't know what places in Russia sell them. Because again, like I said, with that one, wherever it is, the like modern GP5 looking one, what mask have I got that on at the moment, or is it not attached to a mask? If I remember right, let me just double check. I think these Chinese coffee can filters are GOST. Let me check it with the So as you can see, I've got it screwed on. It seems to be GOST because it seems to screw on pretty well. So let me just double check this one is actually GOST, because I don't think it specifies the type of thread pitch on it. I'll see if I can smell anything. Just to double check that is. Yeah, it's definitely getting weaker, that ammonia, but there's still smell. Yeah, so that is definitely a GOST threaded one of these. I can link you to one of these. Again, it's not really ideal for having on a mask, but it's all right with a belt. But yeah, let me link, sorry, and I'll get this to re-go onto my face because it's gone way off. Come on. There we go. Let me get you some AliExpress links up. So I can link to these, 1 second. Right, so if I go to AliExpress, so MF14, right, this looks like the modern version of the MF14 that's, yeah, industry standard 40mm. So if I get a link to this, there is it depends what you're using them for solo. For the most part, I would say yes. But the problem is it depends how long they've been expired and how well they're sealed and what you're using against. It's kind of one of those really hard things to answer. So that's an MF14. So that should be the 40mm NATO version, like I showed just now, for anyone interested in that. Let me see if I can find that kind of coffee can filter. Right, there's also this type, but I don't know if these are GOST or NATO, but I'll link them in a second. I'm just going to see if I can find the coffee can ones. So that is, got the wrong window. Oh, hang on, I've got the setting wrong on here. Let me just fix this. Right, so with, right, get link, copy. Right, so with these, I don't know if these are GOST or NATO, just to warn you guys in advance. If I had to spare money at some point, I'd buy one and test it, but at the moment I don't. So those are, like I said, I don't know if those are GOST or NATO, those particular ones. I'm just seeing if on AliExpress I can find those coffee cans. Like, because again, they're not going to call them coffee cans. I need to know. Let me just search 40mm gas filter A2 or something like that, or A3. It's coming up with results. Again, here's another type of Chinese filter that may or may not be GOST. Well, they're saying that that's very expensive. It's a £38 filter, so I'm not going to recommend that because again, I don't know if it's GOST or NATO, and that's a lot of money for a filter. That one is called a PE3 filter. So let me just search that. The yellow one I've got, PE3 filter, because it's particle free, acid gas free. Let me search acid gas filter maybe. Again, annoyingly, I'm trying to find them on AliExpress. Oh, I found them. Right, here we go. So you need to get the type that you like. Although I have a weird feeling that all of these are like, as much as they do, one is organic vapor, one is inorganic vapor example. I think Hypes and a lot of these sort of Chinese filters, they're actually the exact same kind of mixed charcoal in all of them, but legally they can't call them like ABEC filters. So they have to, you know, say, oh, this one is for acid gas or whatever. But anyway, let me link them because I found them now. Get link, copy. There you go. No, I've got a couple of firefighter masks that I don't have any air supplies for. I've got a couple of rebreathers, but again, rebreathers you never use unless you need to use them. I've done one video with rum rebreather canister, but once you open a rebreather, you can't reuse it, the canisters, because they're a chemical reaction thing. And again, rebreathers can be potentially quite dangerous. So, but yeah, most of the masks I have are just all 40mm because, you know, of all various other like 60mm ones or whatever, because I've never messed about with airline type things. So I can also use an expired filter and it was leaking. I even checked for a leak before I used it. Didn't see little. Now that's annoying. Again, you can, in theory, though, even get a completely in-date sealed filter that's been knocked about in shipping or whatever and leaks because of that reason. But anyway, there's some affiliate links for anybody interested, like I said. So yeah, these should still be GOST rather than NATO threaded, these filters. It's like I said, it seems to make a complete airtight seal with this Shum 41. Let me just try it on the side just to be sure of my GP7 if it doesn't pull the weight of the mask away from my face. Right, where was the GP7? It should be down there somewhere. That's my M40. Oh, there's the one we were on about. Yeah, that was the filter you were on about, wasn't it? Right, so we're going to take that one off that. So this is definitely GOST, this mask, because it's a GP7. So let's see if, again, this might pull the mask away from my face annoyingly. Again, as you can see, screws in really easily, no resistance there, so that should be definitely a GOST seal. Let's hope this doesn't pull the mask away from my face and the foot. Right, that seems to be airtight. Fucking camera, come on. Come on. Yeah, that's definitely working. I hate this mask in terms of getting it on and off. Fucking GP7. And that's with the straps fully loosened, actually, at the back, bottom. It was that tight. Again, this is a really weird mask, the PMK1 and GP7. I don't particularly like it. But yeah, that's definitely GOST threaded, then, that filter. So yeah, like I said, the coffee can ones from China are definitely GOST threaded. Yeah, I did a fun run once, you know, like a charity fun run, even though I just did it at a brisk walking pace because you didn't have to run it, you know, like where people sponsored you and then it raises money for charity. And I did that in a British Mark IV NBC suit, I think it was, with like chemical gloves on and an S10. And yeah, that wasn't pleasant. I had sweat sloshing around in my boots by the end of it, where obviously the sweat just went down the inside of the suit into my boots. Nice to meet you. Yeah, you're right, Hoopstar. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on, but there's no point in me not ending the stream now if there's people on. There we go, it's better. But like I said, I'm planning at the moment on doing 2 streams a day most days. So one earlier on for people like in Australia and Asia, because it works out better for them in that time zone. And then one in the evening UK time, because that way it's at least the afternoon in the US, depending on... Yeah, and it's that's the mask, isn't it, in the remake of My Bloody Valentine? The I wonder if there's any air traffic today.
Welcome, frequency mode.
But yeah, I imagine it's even worse in one of the thick, like Warsaw Pack style rubber suits, or like a German Zodiac suit. So at least that British suit's kind of breathable because it's an impregnated charcoal suit. But yeah, no air traffic at the moment. Normally the tower's always chatting away. If oh. I wonder if it will sound better like folks do. It's like what the bow things are, so whatever that is. I'm not sure if that's CB, is it? I genuinely don't know. So I find radios interesting, but I have not really much knowledge about them, if that makes sense. How do I get that thing fully? Tell you what, if this fucking thing's if that it's not staying up on its own now. I think it's because it's been folded for so long that's actually damaged the aerial. Someone. Like I said, the aerial works on this still. It's just I think it's got damaged from probably just how long I've had it folded down. Again, I've got another radio, but no, this is it's a Radtel, so I don't know what. Local air traffic control tower. So it's only like for a little small airport. It's not like a major airport. It's one that like people with loads of money, take their private jets to, and like Cessnas or whatever, like either flight schools for Cessnas. Yeah, the antenna I really like, but I don't know if I've got the radio in this room, is like one of those proper, like, ones like the old-fashioned radio ones, but like a really well-made one. Yeah, that's come clean of its thing again. I'll just leave that sticking. Oh, no, it's that fucking thing. I'm just gonna tuck that back there. Not this one, because this is like a fixed one, but it's just like a shorter version of that one. And I don't know if I can, with these iRadios, get the air travel on there. If it's...
Frequency mode.
Right, let me look up what that frequency was again. 133,425.
Channel mode. Zone mode. Frequency mode. 1, 3, 3, 4, 2, 5.
No, this one doesn't go as low as that. Annoyingly. Yeah, I don't know what that other radio is at the moment. The really good one I've got, like my top tier radio. They're kind of like Baofengs, those sort of thing, but of a wider thing. Yeah, again, so I think it just depends, doesn't it, on the generation. I don't really know much about radios, in all honesty, so I'm not the best person to ask like any radio-related questions to. I know more about radioactivity than radios. But yeah, like I said, what I just do with mine is just look up. Oh, about both. So what's CB radio? Let's look up. So what's the CB radio? Because again, like I said, I really don't know. Citizens band. Oh, it's not like ham radio. But like I said, some of those are like Baofengs that just do wider ranges, the ones I've got. That you, like I said, I can pick up things like the air traffic tower. You can sometimes pick up shop radios with them. Like I said, somewhere I've got the quite nice one. I'm trying to remember what model it is, with the like the big extendable thing. That's a very good one. But again, like I said, I've never really used them for comms. The nice things with these iRadios though is these are encrypted, so you can put an encryption key into them, and then two people can talk to each other with the encryption key, and other people can't listen in. This is just their default little antenna. These isn't that great, but broadsword calling Danny Boy, sort of thing. All right, little picker. Nice to see you on again. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, so probably RAF Bryce Norton. I'd imagine Bryce Norton's the closest thing. I see planes flying in and out of Bryce Norton, as in I'm not that close to it, but if you see, a decent sized plane at not too high altitude, it's going in or out of Bryce Norton. But yeah, probably Bryce Norton, because there was some other closer bases than that, but I think they're all closed now. because there used to be a barracks near where my granddad used to live. That closed down. They also used to have like an ROC post type thing there, and that's also been, I think, completely demolished now, sadly. It wasn't an ROC post, I think. I think it was, I should have to have a look if it was an ROC post. It might have been like the one for coordinating the ROC posts, but they had like a military barracks there and one of those. That's all long since closed and been turned into flats. Like I said, Bryce Norton's still around near me, but there was a couple of other like smaller air bases that have closed that, you know, used to be ones for, you know, like the shorter takeoff sort of things. Let me look that up. Oh, to trick German bombers away from actual cities and industrial targets. Oh, that's interesting. So starfish sites were large-scale nighttime decoys created during the Blitz to simulate burning British cities. The aim was to divert German night bombers from their intended targets so they would drop their ordnance over the countrysides. So yeah, they waited till like a real bombing run happened, according to this, and then they would light fires from a control bunker that would then, you know, they'd hope that the next wave of German bombers thought they were going to the like previously burning city and actually hit just an empty field. That's quite clever, actually. I don't know how well they worked, but that's quite clever. Right. So anyway, what do people want to talk about at the moment? Yeah, cool. I didn't know anything about them, actually. I'd never heard of that. But yeah, just trying to think. Again, World War II had lots of interesting, weird stuff like that in it, of you know, ways that they tried to you know, like trick the Germans or whatever. Like the interesting one is the one where they got a dead tramp that, you know, died from alcohol poisoning or like drinking methylated spirits or something, and they put like fake orders on him and dressed him up in a British uniform or whatever, then threw his body overboard so it washed up in Spain. So Franco's government gave the Germans the intel they thought was real on this guy's body, and it was like fake intel. So they then, I can't remember if that was to do with like Sicily and Italy or if it was to do with D-Day, but it was one of those they did as well. It was quite clever, where, you know, like, so the Germans completely bought into it because they thought like some guy had died and then he had all the orders on him. But it was actually like a corpse that was thrown overboard on purpose to, you know, like make them think it was something else. So there was lots of cool stuff like that. Operation Mincemeat, was it? That does sound familiar. Operation Mincemeat. Operation Mincemeat was an audacious and successful British World War II deception plan that used a corpse to mislead Axis forces about the 1943 invasion of Sicily. The corpse, they secured the body of a man named Glindweir Michael, was dressed in as a Royal Marine officer, created a false identity for him, Captain William Martin. Body was planted off the coast of Spain, carrying forged letters intended to leak secret plans. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, thank you. Okay, interesting equalizer. So they also had a thing that Churchill wanted to do, which was to dump like flammable liquids, like petrol or whatever, into the channel if the Germans were coming over in sea lions, so they could light the entire channel on fire. There's loads of crazy shit they had planned during Sea Lion. Why does this keep swapping between Zoom on that mode and Zoom on the other? But yeah, the annoying thing was that I really wish somebody had done an alternative history film series or game about like if Operation Sea Lion happened, because of just how insane it would have been. Like where they had those like auxiliary bunkers, whatever they called them, which were a bit like the Viet Cong tunnels, where like, you know, guys would hide, and then when the Germans advanced past them, they'd come out in the night to like slit their throats and stuff like that. They had all the use of like, you know, planned use of chemical and biological weapons, like in a scorched earth kind of thing. I haven't seen an Alec Guinness film. I like Alex Guinness stuff, so I have to watch that. They actually did. Like, again, I don't think they successfully did anything like that, Hoopstar, but there's a castle in Germany, let me look it up, where the one with the black sun on the floor, where Himmler was obsessed with, like, the weird, like, rings and, like, the King Arthur stuff. No, sadly, no, the Millennium will not be better than the C50 because it has the problem where it goes orange. The reason the Millennium and the MCU2P never did that well is because they don't age well. Let me get you a picture of it up. The problem they have, it's not as bad as the MCU2P, but again, even if the face piece is better on the Millennium, they have that issue where they start going like they start doing this look. Is this, can I fit this URL in YouTube, or is it not going to let me? Yeah, there we go. See, that's the problem with them, is they do that. They start discoloring because it's designed to be a flexible face piece. It has the problem that all the master flexible face pieces have, that the older they get, they just like keep like getting worse and worse to see out of. So yeah, even if the face piece is better, it's not better simply for the reason that, yeah, that's going to happen to it. Again, I really like the C50. Again, with some masks, it's just personal preference, though. Because like I said, there's masks I like that other people don't like, and vice versa. And there's masks some people say to me are brilliant masks. I try them and just don't like them. Because again, it just depends how your face fits them as well. Because for some masks, for me, like I have a good seal. Other masks, you know, I can't ever get one that seems to work with my face. Death Corpse of Krieg is kind of like a Shum 41 looking thing, isn't it? Death Corpse of Krieg. Let's get them up. Because it's like a white or grey mask, isn't it, with a hose? Again, I think it's kind of just like if you put a hose on a GP5 sort of looking thing. Again, I think they're kind of meant to look a bit like British small box respirators from World War One. So, because again, they are based on World War One guys. So again, it's kind of like this mask if it was more grey. Oh, I don't want to... Can I just link to the page with it? Hang on. So, if you had one of these that was more grey in colour, the small box respirator, kind of like the World War One British small box respirator. Otherwise, like just a grey Shum sort of 41 looking thing. So like the Soviets in World War II had the Shum 1. So this thing, oh, this link's going to be too big. Hang on. Can I shrink this link down? Still have it work. Again, this is discolored due to age, but I don't really know paying for a C2A1 filter because they don't turn up in the UK. Again, are they in date or not? Again, that's the main thing for me with filters, is are they in date or not, or how recently expired. But yeah, that's so yeah, I would guess for you anyway, Hoopstar, that it's gonna be based on like a small box respirator or whatever, because they're obviously meant to be like a World War One looking thick faction, aren't they? Death Corps. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's like some really high res official art of them so I can see the mask better. But yeah, you could do it with several masks, either like a black or white sort of, yeah. Again, I can see a cosplayer who's done one using a Soviet mask that looks quite authentic. But yeah, it's just kind of like any kind of just very plain face piece mask with a hose at the bottom, really, isn't it? I think it's probably like inspired by a lot of real masks, but not exactly a 1-1 copy. What's the Warhammer place? Or is there some like big Games Workshop thing? Because we have like Warhammer stores and things in the UK. So what, do they have like an actual museum or something? Again, I probably did know about this and I've just completely forgotten. If you go to the UK, you also go and see some of the cool old military shit or whatever, like the castles and whatever. Because again, one of the things obviously is if you're in the US, you only have like Native American stuff and the stuff from the time of the first colonists. Like again, in theory, the Vikings got there first, but you know, like the British and the Spanish and French stuff from like the 1500s, 1600s or whatever. Whereas if you go to the UK and lots of European places, you can see castles that are really fucking old. What thing on the wall looks like the thing on eBay? Which particular thing? The stuff I've listed on my eBay, for example, is already packaged up, ready to go. Like, you know, with bubble wrap sealed in boxes. If you mean that thing, no, because that's a Polish vehicle-based Geiger counter. The one I've got listed is a DP5A Soviet one. Okay, so I guess you're replying to that really old comment, Litter Picker. So you said CB is not ham radio. CB is short range and license free. You're supposed to have a license to broadcast on the Baofeng, but it's legal to receive. Yeah, I've never broadcast on mine. I've only ever used them to listen into stuff. And if I did broadcast and didn't do it legally, I wouldn't say that on here, would I? I just literally did that during the stream, but I'll do it again for you. Yep. Okay. So where did I put the MF14 just now? When I just showed it literally just now. All right, there's the MF14. As you can see, it's got a 3M filter on, so a NATO filter, not a GOST one, because this is a modern MF14 where most of those are NATO threaded. So, yeah, still got a bruise there near my eye, and I have no idea I did that. Yeah, that's annoying, because I still got a bit of a bruise there. But... yeah, can't smell it at all, and I don't want to really fucking splutter. No, just to prove to you guys that these smelling salts, although they are going a bit now, yeah, these definitely aren't as strong as they were, but they still cause a reaction. No, not really got any military camping gear. I've got a couple of bits that can be used in military camping sort of stuff, but not like a proper tent or anything. One of the NBC suits I've got is designed that if you get two of them and put them together, they can act as a tent. It felt like, I think you'll be fine. No, if you only used it for 20 minutes, even if it was leaking, yeah, that's what happens with smelling salts. It's because they literally cause a reaction that kind of makes you go like that. But yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, you'll be fine, but don't carry on using it. Like I said, there's channels that tell you that you're completely safe breathing. You're not completely safe, but they're also, if you only use them for a bit, the likelihood that any asbestos got into your lungs is basically negligible. Like I said, don't use them. Like, for obvious reasons, don't use them because there is a risk. Yeah, but bear in mind, even if just the charcoal was leaking, that will cause you breathing issues. So you're probably fine. Like I said, you can always get an X-ray done or whatever if you want to have a look. But again, I breathe through GP5 filters a lot more than you because, like, again, I did it a lot for videos and I didn't know that at the time there was a risk. Again, even a modern filter, if there's a little rip in it and you breathe in the charcoal, it will irritate you. But the good thing with GP5 filter, this one isn't the asbestos one. This is like the post-Soviet one that's, don't know if you can really see on the angle here. This is actually paper in there, a paper heaper, not the old asbestos layer. But in these, the asbestos would have been in this bottom layer, right? The charcoal's in that layer. Then there's a bit of cotton wool when you breathe through there. So if it's leaking, you're normally always breathing the charcoal in, not the asbestos. Not that you should actually, like I said, with a real GP5 filter, risk breathing through them, but you're going to be fine. Yes, equalizer. Funnily enough, right over here to my hand, there's a SMLE bayonet, the 1907 pattern bayonet. Call that a knife. This is a knife. So yeah, that's the really old Bigley Enfield bayonet I really like. The 1907 sword bayonet. What else have I got that's handy? This is a replica one, not a proper one. But here is a... Sorry, it's got caught on something. I don't know how it's even managed that. Oh, get out both bits at once then. So This fits my M1 carbine, so it's quite a good replica. That's a replica of a US M4 bayonet, which was the one for the M1 carbine. And the blade design of this was what they then used on the M7 bayonet, but with a different like handle and everything. So there's that. And this isn't this is like a reenactment kind of thing, but that's like a parrying dagger, that one. You know, where you'd have that in your left hand and you'd have a sword in your right, or vice versa if you were the other way, like handed. But this one's quite, like I said, quite nice. I got this because after I watched V for Vendetta again, I was like, oh, I need to get a dagger like in V for Vendetta. What are you on about, Hazmatsu? If you're on about these filters, no. You can literally look at these and see they're new. Because again, if you look at that there, again, you're not going to see it on there. I can see that that's a paper heaper filter in there. You can literally see from the... Let me stop it following my face a minute. Right. Let's see if I can get the lighting at an angle where you can see it. Again, it's really hard to do this on camera compared to the human eye. Come on. I'm just trying to get the light to show into that little crack there, and I can't do it. But yeah, this, if you look at this, if you see it with your human eye, you can literally see from looking in that. Basically, if you look in that there, you can see with your eye that it's not the old GP5 filter layer. There's probably people who have cut these open for videos. I'm not going to because it's the only one I've got. But you can see it's not the same filter. It's the same housing because the same factory makes them, but it's the more modern ones. Like I said, it's a bit like the GP7 one I've got somewhere, which again, conveniently isn't handy when I want to show it. But it's like the same factory makes the old GP7 PMK1 filters, but, you know, like with modern materials. Because again, with the Russians, what they ended up doing is because they still had all the tooling to make the old stuff, they just swapped the filter mediums over. Right, anyway, let's see what comments I missed. Use the OM90. Do I have the OM90 near me anywhere? Oh, it's up there. Okay. Not a fan of it. This is definitely the worst of any of the S10 rip-offs, the OM90. It's not awful, but again, the prices companies like Myra sell them for are ridiculous. Again, this is like we have S10 at home, isn't it, this mask? So let's attach this onto the PAPR. And I'll flick that back on. Oh, and the bottom thing came off, and I could never get that back on after it came off. Come on. And this hose can be a bit annoying to sometimes screw in. Once you get it going, it's all right. By saying that, I was going to say, once you get it going, it's all right, and then it completely didn't let me do it. Again, it's also because this is a shit quality mask. That's a really bad intake thread. Come on. Again, I like Czechia and the Czech Republic and the Czech people, but their modern gas masks are a bit shite. Funnily enough, I've actually got the filter for it, this mask, on my PAPR unit, so I will technically be using it. Right, there we go. It's finally screwing in. Like I said, that one just did not want to bite on the thread, even though it's a NATO threaded mask. So yeah, this is we have S10 at home. So yeah, you can see they copied the S10's eyepieces, but you can't see through those bits, so you get a shit field of view. Right, let me get this off. Like I said, this is definitely the worst of any of the S10 clones. The Chinese FMJ08 is a far better S10 clone, as in better quality rubber, you know, very close to an S10. It's only kind of different in the sense of the the straps it uses and the voice diaphragm thing's different on it. Right, so anyway, what have I missed in the comments? Well, again, Ghost House, let me harpoon gun in the UK. I think if it's a banned one, not banned as in the government's banned it, but if it uses rubber bands, that type of harpoon gun, I think you can. If it's the type of harpoon gun that uses compressed gas, I don't think you can unless it's related to a job you do or whatever, because then it's more like classed as an air rifle or whatever. So anyway, again, I don't really know. I'll be replying to Ghost House anyway. So anyway, with Myra, for the people that don't know, Myra do not make any of their own products, as far as I'm aware. They certainly don't with the gas masks. What Myra do is they buy Czech masks like the OM90 on contract from the Czech Republic, the company that makes them, Sigma or whatever it is. Then they rebrand them as their own masks and sell them at a massive markup. So Myra is essentially no different than if I bought an MF14 and then said I gave it a tactical name and then said, "Oh, pay me $200 for it." Parcel Safety, yeah, they're the ones that do it, the Chinese masks, aren't they? Yeah, they don't make them and use crappy filters. Again, I've got one of the masks they sell, I think, but you know, like rebranded under a different name that was sold in the UK, but those were sold for like £30 each, so it wasn't bad. The K3, okay, the actual rubber of the K3 is quite nice. The plastic on it is absolute crap. So basically, with the K3, its eyepieces scratch really easily. Like even when I got it and it was unissued, like from a little bit of bouncing around in transit in bubble wrap, the eyepiece is scratched up a bit. The bit of the plastic broke off where like the voice diaphragm kind of bit is, but luckily it didn't break the seal of the mask. Like the rubber and the straps are nice on it. It's just the plastic quality shit on the K3. Like I don't know why it's so bad, but it is. Do I have the K3 behind me anyway? I know I've shown it a load of times, but I don't know. Like I said, if so that's the Forshida, not the K3. Again, sorry, I don't think it's that handy, the K3. That's just generic Chinesian mask. I do quite like these though. But yeah, generic Chinesian mask. That one. But yeah, no, the K3, I don't know where it's currently. Somewhere. It's the NATO threaded PMK. So the Forshida, which I absolutely love. Yeah, it's a shame because, like I said, the rubber's actually good on it. The rubber is quite comfortable. It's just a shame that, like I said, they cheaped out on the plastic so much. Like I said, this is one of the most comfortable gas masks I own in terms of how well it fits my face. Like with that, if I barely do these straps up, that just sits great on my chin, this mask. But, yeah, let's run this guy on the PAPR. Swedish mask. Ooh. This is a bit of a pain in the fucking ass, but not the mask. We attach the PAPR to it to start threading it in. You know, I think it's because it's an angled hose, which is actually good when you've got the hose attached properly, because you can angle it with the mask or you're using it in whichever direction you want. But it's just annoying when you're trying to screw it on because it doesn't want to bite as much. Right, there we go. Flip the papa back on. Right, so there we go. Lovely, comfortable Forshida. Forshida, the war is over. So yeah, the weird thing with this is people say the voice diaphragm is actually alright, although I don't think this has a voice diaphragm when I look. I think it's just a very big X-ray. Yeah. Yeah, the exhale valve is there. Yeah. But yeah, this is a very, very comfortable mask. Anyway, let me flick that off. Let's just test how good the seal of this is without the PAPR running, so it's not positive pressure. I mean, I know it mostly works. So. Yeah. Like I said, this is definitely one of the most comfortable masks for me. It's just with this mask, it's just that I find the chin seal is just fantastic on this. Like I said, it's one of those masks that once it pressurizes, I can have the straps quite loose and it still kind of clings to my face. Again, I think it's just like with those, I've lucked out that my jawline kind of matches the mask. And like I said, that's why some masks that should work for me don't, because my obviously jawline's a bit different than the shape of the mask. So you always get gaps in it. Yeah, that is, so annoyingly, it's very hard to get the actual proper military version of it. That's not the military version. That's the civilian version. So that's called something like the Forshida F2A4. The military version is called the Skier Damask 90 or something like that. So the Swedish Army's been using that mask with a drinking tube and where you can change the filter from side to side since 1990, and they're still using it. So it's a very long production run of a mask. They're very comfortable, good rubber and everything. The civilian version like that, they're all from the 90s. So they're long since, their shelf life's long since finished. They're from about 94, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, 94. See if we can get that to focus on that. Because again, this good quality. Just flick that other light back on. Yes, see where it says 94 there? It's at max about a zoom anyway I can do, but yeah, so they're from 1994, all of these. As far as I know, nearly everyone on the surplus market is from 1994. Because I have another one somewhere and that's from 1994. I thought the A4 is that one. Like the A4, I thought is the civilian one. The F2 is the military one, isn't it? The Ski Mask 90. But again, I've never seen those sold as surplus. I know a couple of people have bought them, but I don't know if Sweden just destroys them or something. Yeah. So yeah, Ski Mask 90, as I was saying, yeah. But like I said, it's a really, really nice mask. I just like the thing, and yeah, just to prove this does do something. Again, I don't want to take a big whiff, but. Well, yeah, that's still quite potent if you get your nose deep enough in it. But yeah, like I said, this is you can see where the vapors are actually condensing on the top of it. If it wants to focus, stop it focusing on my face a minute. So you can see where the vapors from the ammonia are stopping on the top. Causes severe skin burns and eye damage. Very toxic to aquatic life. Like I said, this is very good for testing masks and stuff, but like I said, I think this one is slightly starting to go now. But until I get some more money, I can't buy any fresh smelling salts. Yeah, again, believe me, if you ever fucking use smelling salts, you will know about it. It's not me putting on a face. It is literally because it's kind of like getting an electric shock sort of thing with smelling salts. Preppers Shop UK. I've bought from them before. Okay, Preppers Shop, they used to be really good, but a while ago I had a load of issues with them. Like, not so much that I'd say they're a bad company, never use them, but as in, like, I ordered something, it took them absolutely ages to dispatch it, and they didn't reply to my emails asking when it was, going to get dispatched. And then they didn't send the right quantity of stuff, and I had to contact their customer support and get it. All right, Goobs. So yeah, again, I would test stuff with like CS and Mace or whatever, but the problem is that's illegal as a UK civilian to own. If Keir Starmer's stormtroopers start firing CS gas at people in crowds, maybe I'll do a video taking a gas mask Right, guys, let's do a gas mask test to see if it will stop the stormtroopers from gassing me. Which Soviet mask was it? I was showing the shims earlier, wherever I popped that recently. Where did I put my shims? Oh, there it is. Hang on a sec. This one, or is it a different one? The monkey mask, yeah, with the funny warfare plan that vibrates. But yeah, I like this mask. It's good mask, I like it. Right, how long have I been on now? I probably ought to go fairly soon, like I said, get some food. Because, oh, fuck's sake, where I put that world clock on my Linux thing, it's fucked up my time. Yeah, I definitely can't use that world clock thing if it constantly changes the time to, let me look up Linux Mint how to correct system time. System settings, date and time. Oh yeah, see, yeah, it set me to Australia now. So I need to set myself to Europe. London, yeah, that'll be close enough. Display the date, display seconds, yes. Okay, right, yeah, I'm gonna have to see if I can find a world clock app, but it needs to be a proper world clock app, because again, unlike what those tutorials said, if you just simply change on Linux with the thing I was doing, the date and time to different time zones, it just changes your entire system time. It's not like you can have one doing various times. I thought cattle prods were illegal in the UK. Let me have a look. Are cattle prods legal in the UK? Oh, yes. Cattle prods are legal for agricultural use on livestock, for self-defense. Under the Firearms Act 1968, any electrical discharge weapon is classified as a prohibited firearm. Yeah, so you get 5 to 10 years in prison if you have a cattle prod and you're not a farmer. So basically, it's illegal. It's a bit like how certain farmers and whatever can have a pistol for shooting horses in the head. I can't. So, not about me wanting to shoot horses in the head. I'm saying I can't have a humane dispatch gun, but they can. So yeah, they're basically not legal. Again, because if something's illegal for everybody but a very small group where it's specifically for them, I'd say it's not really legal. I'd say, you know, they're in a grey area of the law or whatever. Yeah, well, I can't even own a cattle prod because, like I said, I'm not registered to have one. Again, okay, so how it works in the UK, because we don't have any like castle doctrine or whatever, is if somebody breaks into your house, you're in theory allowed to use reasonable force. So what that, and again, this is why it causes problems, because there's sometimes people have killed a burglar or whatever, and they've been let off. Other times, somebody have beaten up a burglar or killed them, and they've got really long times in prison for it. It sometimes, I think, depends on the judge, jury, and the police force that decide to charge them or whatever. And again, there's lots of weird caveats to UK law about if something is to hand. Like, so if I was in this room and somebody broke in and was armed right now, and because that was there, I whipped that out and, you know, put all my life in danger and I ran them through. I might get away with that because it was to hand. If I specifically heard somebody breaking in and I went to get it, then I'm more likely to get done for murder or manslaughter. So again, like I said, the UK stuff is bollocks. It's one of those things, because it's not clearly defined what you can and can't do, you might be fucked over or you might get away with it. Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like the Nazis' ghost house pictures. Same sort of thing. You can be a shitty regime but still have kind of cool stuff. Right, I am going to go in a couple of minutes because, like I said, I have been on quite a while now. I think nearly 2 hours. So yeah, I'll be off in a minute. Or have I been on for over 2 hours? What time did I start streaming? Was it 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. I started streaming? Let me actually open and have a look. Dashboard. Again, the only problem is as well, this is going to overheat and really need a battery recharge fairly soon. So let's have a look. Live. where I'm live now. I don't know if it's a live control panel on that one or the other one. Oh yeah, nearly 3 hours ago I started this. Average view duration is 9 minutes 45. Been on 3 hours, yeah. UK is currently 10:45 a.m. So yeah, 10:45 a.m. So yeah, I'm going to be off in a few minutes because, like I said, I've been on nearly 3 hours, and I might do another stream later. But I need to get some lunch first, and that have a bit of a break from the computer or whatever. Then do a like I said, I'm going to do another stream later. The stream I do later though, I can't do that long because I'm going out this evening, as I said. So what I might do is I might come on again 4 p.m. UK time to then finish about 5 p.m. UK time, because I think I'm getting picked up around 5:30, and I need to make sure I'm ready before then, before my mate turns up, because obviously we have to drive to wherever we're going to have dinner and that. So yeah, so I will head off in a few minutes. I might carry on as Keir Starmer playing Fallout 3 later. Right wing fuggery, because we need to finish that Chinese quest, don't we? And get the special lever action rifle. Xi Jinping is going to give me a gift of a special lever action rifle. No, we've had some really hot days recently, Ghost House Pictures, where we, for May as well, especially, you can zoom out a bit. So we had a couple of days recently where we broke the record 2 days in a row for the highest temperature ever in May. So I think Monday this week just gone, it got to 34 something. Then the next day it got to 35 point something. So not too far off 100F for you in the US. 100F to Celsius, that's 37 degrees. So yeah, it was about 96F the other day. No, sadly, never seen one for sale, or if I have, they've been £500. Yeah, it's a shame in Fallout 3 that without mods, the guns are super inaccurate. Because I even installed an accuracy mod, and they're still fucking inaccurate as shit. Yeah, but so yeah, we've had a couple of days in the UK recently that got close to 100 Fahrenheit, and I imagine in June, July, we will go over 100F. And the problem is as well, like I was saying to people, is it's humid here. So at least where I am in the UK, it's humid because it rains so much and all that. So so bear in mind the humidity on some of the days near me has been 70 to 80%. So let me just put that in. At 35C at 80% humidity, how hot does it feel? Because again, the problem is you can't sweat and evaporate your sweat. You sweat like crazy, but your sweat doesn't evaporate because it's how humid it is. At 35C, 95 Fahrenheit, combined with 80% humidity, the air feels staggeringly hot. This feels like temperature heat index skyrockets to approximately 54 to 56 C, 130 to 133 Fahrenheit. Yeah. Like I said, this is the problem that people keep not fucking understanding about the UK when it gets hot, is that it feels like shit. And again, I've got an air conditioner because I bought one, but houses don't have air conditioners here. You have them in cars, but most houses don't have air conditioners because it always used to be a cold country, a cold and wet country. So, we are really not used to horrible stuff like that. Yeah, exactly, Hoopstar. That's what I'm saying. Because again, Florida's meant to be like that, isn't it? I hear that all the time from Floridians, how humid it is. Yeah. You'd actually understand that, because again, if you're from Louisiana and that, you'd get it. But like I said, people who live in dry, hot countries don't get it because they're like, oh yeah, just sit in the shade. Yeah, that's not going to help when the humidity's that high. I have no idea about Call of Duty gas masks because I haven't played any in the modern ones at all. Chempax XRT, what's that? Let me have a look. Again, I can't, like I said, I literally can't buy anything like that at the moment because I don't have a proper job. Oh, is it a suit? Oh, it's a suit. Okay, I'm not really that interested. I've got a couple of good NBC suits and they take up too much room. Yeah, so yeah, again, yeah, so basically, yeah, every day for you is like what it's been for us recently. Yeah. Do you at least have aircon in a load of your buildings, though? Or central air or whatever? At least you have gators in Louisiana, I suppose. I've dyed a Serbian one that was really faded. I used a green dye. It didn't work that well. It did look better than it did. Apparently, like UCP is one of those camos that looks really good dyed. British Desert looks really good dyed, actually, but I don't like the idea of buying a load of Desert just to dye it. But let me just see if I can find it. Desert DPM dyed. So yeah, I always think this looks cool. Look, where if the link isn't too long to fit on YouTube, that stuff. If you get Desert DPM, you know, the 2-color yellow and brown one, and you dye that green, I think that looks pretty damn good. That's green, like that. But like I said, like UCP as well looks quite good. Yeah, like I said, this is the problem, Hoopstar, is in the UK, we never have really had AC, and the buildings are designed to trap heat because of, you know, like really, it used to be a country with cold winters because of where we are kind of in the Northern Hemisphere. And, you know, like summers maybe got to 20C, like 80F maybe. But now because of global warming or whatever, it keeps getting worse and worse every summer. And like I said, the problem is here that we don't have AC. Most people don't have AC, and the houses are designed to trap as much heat as possible. Yeah, that's an East German one. Watch Regiment, look. NVA Watch Regiment, so National Volksarmee Watch Regiment. The PIF helmet isn't East German, obviously. Yeah, M81, again, M81 Woodland. Again, that era of outfits, the British DPM type stuff and the US M81, like Woodland and the like the 3-color or 4-color Desert, whatever it is, that is great. Again, I really miss that Pasca era of clothing. It just looks so much better than all the multicam stuff. Again, I know why multicams and ARs have caught on for everything, but it's just so soulless now. UK is cold in summer. Well, I mean, no, if it hits 100 Fahrenheit, I wouldn't consider that cold. Like, you know, if it gets 35 to 40 C, I wouldn't consider that cold. For chemical detection, I don't really know. You can buy the chemical warfare detection papers, but they're not that sensitive. The actual like sniffer units are very expensive, and I don't think normally sold to civilians. For radiological stuff, there's quite a lot of good Geiger counters I've recommended on different videos. Yeah, that's the thing, Hoopstar. And again, like it's like with the war in Ukraine, where both sides are using it and they're using coloured armbands because of just how prevalent it is. And again, it's like Britain has MTP as our kind of knockoff multicam. And again, that's just boring. Like I said, I like the old like DPM stuff like that, you know, the old Woodland. Anyway, I need to go now. Like I said, I've been on too long. I need to go get some food. So yeah, I'm going to try and come back on about 4 p.m. So if anyone's around 4 p.m. UK time, so 4 p.m. UK time to Eastern Seaboard time, or Eastern Standard Time, whatever it's called, that is 11 a.m. for people on the East Coast, just so you know. I'll be on about an hour, but I can't be on more than that today because I am going out later. Again, I'm going to be doing the Fallout 3 stream as Keir Starmer. We're going to deal with the right-wing folks and all those racist Brexit voters. Yeah, but May isn't summer. We're still in spring. Summer is June, July. Anyway, I'll be off. So, yeah, have a good day, everybody. I don't know, Ghost House. You'll have to ask people about the laws or whatever in your area. Don't ask me about fashion. I don't know. Anyway, have a good day, everyone. Like I said, I will be on later on, but like I said, at the moment, like I said, I'm going to be on 4 p.m. and then on for about an hour, and then I'll be off to, like I said, I'm off to have dinner with some mates tonight at a pub and maybe have a couple of beers or whatever. Again, it's because sometimes it's because all the temperatures are fucked up. Anyway, see you all. Have a good day. I haven't had the heating on at all in May. Again, it depends how well insulated your house is. So yeah, I've been on 2 hours 59. Oh, that's bloody typical. You know where I was asking how long I've been on? It literally says in that corner above me, just over there. Again, I can't really point to it because it's at that bit of the screen, but then I'm pointing the wrong way. So about there, if I was pointing it like that. On my, you know, like stream thing, right? It actually says I've been on 2 hours, 59 minutes and 28 seconds and counting. So yeah, see you all. So yeah, I'll be on, like I said, on at 4 p.m. UK time, but only for about an hour because I do have to go. So it's not like one where if I feel up to it, I could do longer. Sadly, I can't because, like I said, I'm going out. There's a chance I might start a bit before 4 p.m. and carry on to 5 p.m. But like I said, I do need to get food now because I don't want to spoil my dinner later by, you know, like leaving it too long and then eating later on. Yeah, it's insulated with stuff and insulation. Yeah, look at all that stuff. You could just fall asleep under that pile and never be found again. Anyway, so plan for today. Streaming at, like I said, 4 p.m. or a bit earlier UK time till 5 p.m. Then I won't be on in the evening unless someone Weapon Collector's stream in the evening if he does one today. But other than that, there's videos scheduled for the next few days, so don't forget to watch those. And if you bookmark my channel, like I said, that way you'll always know when I do videos, because don't rely on YouTube notifications to tell you, because they never do. Right, thanks for coming on, everyone. I'll see everyone hopefully later. If not, catch you tomorrow or whenever.